Go Sharif in it. What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to How to Trade, formerly known as That Midday Show. That is your girl, Adara, and I'm Sharif, and we're going to wait for everyone find their way on over from the other stream. We already have the OG, Mr. Two Pamps, hanging out. Yes, sir, Mr. Scott H. Sharif. Game time. Get her done, he says. Absolutely, sir. We're going to be looking at these small cap gappers. Not the best day today, Scott, for said small cap gappers, but we got some more stuff on the side chart. We'll get to that. Lots of earning plays today. A day trader cut, Brandon Townsend, K-Town, TH, as well as Martin. We got Bristol in the house, Alaric B, and I'm already getting notifications over here. Oh, baby, Pfizer just broke 31. We got Ronaldo. We got the Pawns. We got the Fawns. We got Benton. Shout out to Come On You Gunners. Yes, we're playing Liverpool today, Benton, in Philadelphia. Day trader cut, Ricky Peters, baby. We got Hans Beer. Big Spile Burdette in the house. What's up, Big Spile? We got Curtis Cash, Chelsea Ashley, The Piper, Mr. Ian. I hope I didn't butcher that name. Pitchbull 2, New York, Whole Sense, baby. The long Huang family. He's long AMD. I'm sorry. Shout out to him as well. And enjoy the fun with Josie. Shout out to Adam DeLuce as well. What's up, babe? How's it going?
Pardon?
How's it going?
I'm doing well. How are you doing this fine day?
Can't complain.
Nice.
We're in a CrowdStrike trade right now, trying to get printed. But I don't have to tell you, it's that's the spready one. And there it is, Adara, 50 pennies to start the day.
We're playing this in the opposite direction, which is actually wild too. I just realized, because I just added to my CrowdStrike position right where you got printed.
Yeah, well,
I want to show you out.
There you go. We both can print in the same thing. You and I have been talking about that for a long time. Yeah. The big kahunas have been doing that for years and years. One goes one way, the other goes other. Somehow they both print. That's just the nature of trading. Got a tiny bit left. Going to see if this can weasel its way up into 235. If we can get something around there, fantastic. If it comes back into my entry, Gonzino, what are you looking at?
Yeah, I mean, I'm also in CrowdStrike, and I want to explain my thesis for this because it's funny, you and I are seeing the same thing. We're just playing it differently because I also am seeing that 235 level, but I'm playing it as a short. And the reason I'm playing CrowdStrike as a short, and also I want to address why I got in where I did. Sharif saw me. I sit down, I see these lower highs in CrowdStrike. I see that 235 level as the base of those lower highs, which, by the way, 235 was the level I loved in CrowdStrike yesterday. And I literally said to CrowdStrike, I'm shorting you. Watch out, CrowdStrike. And Sharif even said, he was like, yeah, like usually you're like a little bit more horror movie-ish with it, but no, CrowdStrike, I like told it how it was. I said, Crowd, you do what you have to do. But I'm getting involved in you here. So that actually, very happy to say that did go according to plan. I don't think it's updated to my average position. I'm going to see what my average is on CrowdStrike now because I think it is a little bit higher. Yeah, it's 40s. So it's 41s here. My average price in Crowd now is 234.41s because I did add at 50s. The reason I didn't wait for a 235 retest because I tried to get involved in the short when it broke down, wasn't able to get filled. The reason I put it where it was because I saw us waffling around 234s, and I want to show it Sharif for his awesome long that he printed on. I was like, you know what? I would rather play it as a short for myself because that was the thesis I already have. I was willing to add into risk into 235. If we break decisively above 235, I'm outie. I'm trying to get the first part of my position out here, 50 pennies in the money at 233.75. But yeah, I just want to shout out Sharif because I think it's so interesting how you can play the same name differently. And well, you've printed, I don't know about me yet, but good times there on CrowdStrike, trying to strike while the iron's hot. So good times. Yeah, you want to show you up?
Thank you, Adara. All right, let's get to the lesson du jour, guys. We're not talking about a specific type of gap today, even though the title, the word, or not the word, but the phrase measuring gaps sometimes can be used interchangeably with continuation gaps and runaway gaps. That's not what we're talking about today. We're actually talking about not physically, but actually measuring the gaps to be able to see where to take profit, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We did a little bit of this during the measuring move week. So today, measuring gaps. So traders, today we're focusing on a fundamental aspect of technical analysis, measuring gaps. Understanding the size and the significance of the gaps can provide valuable insights into the market dynamics. So let's get right to it. Why should we measure gaps? What do we get from this? Measuring gaps can help us, number one, compare gap sizes. So you can determine if a gap is relatively large or relatively small compared to the historical gaps that printed on that chart. And it can also help you predict potential price moves. So the size of a gap can give us clues about the potential magnitude of the subsequent price move. right? So the bigger the gap, oh, go ahead. I know you have a read.
You just have to, your mic apparently just straighten out its antenna.
Oh.
Sorry, I was trying to do it covertly,
I
but
think
it was
it's
far.
I was going to use a euphemism, but I think I'm not. I'm just
I
gonna
think
leave
I know what euphemism.
Yeah. Well, let's just get that. Is it okay right now, guys? Can I continue?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. All right, so it also can predict, help us predict basically the move subsequent to the gap based upon how large the gap is. Go ahead, Adair.
Yeah, thank you so much here as well, though, to our lovely sponsors here at PIA.com VPN. Trading on public Wi-Fi is risky. Your data is exposed, and it's like sending private messages in a group chat. PIA, or Private Internet Access VPN, encrypts your connection and creates a secure tunnel for your data. Trade safely from anywhere, airports, coffee shops, or hotels, without the fear of hackers. PIA also bypasses geo-restrictions, giving you access to trading platforms and content from over 91 countries and all 50 U.S. states. Protect your trading activities with PIA. Get 83% off at just $2.03 per month, plus 4 extra months free. Sign up now with our 30-day money-back guarantee and 24/7 support. Rated excellent on Trustpilot. Also, look, you could watch here. You could look at Brendan and Sean and Neil and Sharif. Check that out, guys. Trader TV live. Look at that private internet.
We need like your
VPN.
head like coming in from the side. And I thought you were going to say excellent because I've always kind of heard you say that lately.
Excellent. Yeah, I always make egg-related puns with Sharif. It's like a running gag. But yeah, please, a running egg. Shout out, though, to like a running egg. Oh, my God, I need to stop. But shout out to Private Access VPN. Sorry, lesson time.
Sounds good. All right, let's get back to the lesson, guys. Why should we measure gaps? So we gave you a couple of reasons. One, you can compare the smaller gaps to the larger ones, see how this one fits in with the historical gaps. Number two, the larger the gap, it's said that the larger the continuation move. After that, not a hard and fast rule. You shouldn't rely entirely on it, but it's one thing to consider. Third reason why we should measure gaps, you can identify the significant gaps. Large gaps often indicate significant market events or significant shifts in sentiment. So they have more of a macro move on the entire market or specifically an instrument you're trading. So it's good to know why we're gapping up so aggressively or not. All right, so how do you measure the gaps? What's the move here? So I'm going to submit to you guys 3 different strategies to measure these gaps. So the first one is the easiest, right? You're actually just measuring a simple price difference. Here, all you're doing is calculating the difference between the closing price of the previous period and the opening price of the current period. So if we closed out yesterday 400 on Meta, and today we opened up 450, so what I'm looking at is the closing print from the day before and the opening day or the opening price on the subsequent day. So that would be a $50 gap. Closing print, opening print. That's the simplest way to do it. The other way is the percent change, right? You're going to calculate the percentage difference between the closing price of the previous period and the opening price of the current period. This method helps compare gaps across different price levels. So for example, if you had a $5 gap when a stock was $10, well, it's a big difference gapping from 10 to 15 than gapping from 425 to 430. So percentage change, a little bit more accurate in that regard. Then the last one here is ATR, average true range. If you don't know what this is, we did an entire week on it. Get to the YouTube homepage for Trader TV, search in ATR, you're going to get our lessons. So in the ATR method, what you're doing is you're dividing the gap size by the ATR to determine how many ATRs, average true ranges, the gap represents. That's not a word. This method provides a standardized measure of gap size relative to market volatility. And that may be important for you because we may gap much smaller during the consolidative time and gap much bigger during a trending time, even though the news catalyst during the consolidative time was bigger macro-wise than the one during the trending time. But the trending one actually gapped higher. So ATR, important to gauge the gaps relative to market context. So these are the 3 methods that I would submit to you. You can measure gaps. There may be more. Some people use fibs. We'll include fibs in a second, but these are the 3 standardized ways of measuring. So how do you use these gap measurements? Once you've got them, all right, I figured out the price change. All right, I figured out the percentage change. I did the ATR. So now how am I using it? First and foremost, once you've measured a gap, you can use the information to, number 1, identify potential support and resistance levels. these gaps can create new support and resistance levels in and of themselves. And you can also estimate the potential price targets. So some traders use gap measurements to estimate potential price targets for continuation or reversal patterns. And last but not least, you can compare gaps. We kind of alluded to this earlier. By comparing the size of a current gap to historical gaps, you can assess its significance. All right, so let's talk about each one of these. We talked about 3 different ways to use the gap measurement. I'm going to go through each one individually. The first one we talked about here is to identify potential areas of support and resistance. Let's explore that a little bit more. So identifying potential support and resistance can be important because gaps can create new support and resistance levels. Here's how to identify them. First, gap fill attempt. If the price retraces, for example, to fill a portion, not entirely, a portion of the gap, the area where the price stalls can become a new support level. And we kind of gave you that example yesterday. Remember when we were, yesterday. Remember when we were talking about runaway gaps and how we look for the runaway gap not to get filled? That's the continuation gap. It should not get filled. Otherwise, it's probably a common gap. Well, it doesn't usually get filled. It gets maybe 50%, 60% of the way through. So we can use that new level that it retraced to as a new level of support rather than where the actual closing candle took place. So keep that in mind. The other thing that you can use here is gap size. Larger gaps are more likely to create significant areas of support and resistance. So the bigger the gap, the more likely that this becomes a key area of support and resistance. And volume confirmation always, guys. Increased volume during the gap fill can strengthen the potential support and resistance level. Now let's talk about using measuring gaps to estimate potential price targets, because that's what we did during the measuring move week. Who recalls that? So while not foolproof by any means, gap measurements can be used to estimate potential price targets. First and foremost, the measured move, right? For breakaway gaps, some traders use the gap size as a measure of the potential price move. I'm not going to go into how to do it here, but if you want to know how to use the measured move to assess gap sizes, go back to that week that we did on the measured move, simply by just going to our YouTube homepage and searching the measured move. You can also use Fibonacci extensions. I know people love this. Where are my fib heads at, right? Apply Fibonacci.
He's going to kick out of the way.
I know that you want to use fibs like Katina Man put up his head. So you can apply Fibonacci extensions to the gap to identify potential price targets. For example, remember we talked about wave 1 during Elliott wave theory, and we posited that wave 3 typically is 1.618 times the length of wave 1. So you can use fibs not just for pullbacks, but to actually gauge where the trend could continue. That's one thing I didn't know I could use fibs for until I got a little bit more nuanced with it. Lastly here, for estimating potential price targets, we're going to look at trend-based targets. What does that mean? So you can combine these gap measurements with trend lines, for example, with moving averages, any basically, other than support and resistance, any sort of trend line example or moving average or anything like that that shows up on the chart to give better price targets. And last but not least, comparing gaps, right? We want to be able to gauge whether this specific gap that we're seeing manifest on the chart now is, historically speaking, of significance relative to what's printed on this particular instrument in the past. So comparing gaps helps assess their significance and potential impact. Number 1, by gap size comparisons. You can compare the current gap to historical gaps to determine if it's unusually large or small. Keep in mind, though, the percentage change as a better measure of that move, because the dollar figure won't take into account any appreciation or depreciation in value, right? Market conditions as well. These comparing gaps can shed light on market conditions. Consider market volatility and overall market sentiment when comparing gaps. Were we in a consolidative phase when we gapped? Were we in a trending phase, whether up or down? If we're in a consolidative phase, it stands to reason that the gap might be a little bit smaller than the one that may appear during a trending phase. So you need to account for that. And last but not least, the gap fill speed. How quickly a gap is filled can indicate its significance. Gaps that are filled rapidly, are often less impactful. So that's something to keep in mind as well. And just a little bonus tip here, combine gap measurements with other technical analysis tools, like looking at oversold or overbought conditions on the RSI, or price action, RSI or MACD divergence, to have a more accurate assessment of those market conditions. Adara.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sharif, for going over that lesson every single day. I'm guessing you printed here in CrowdStrike because I have been having a whole vibe and a half here in CrowdStrike. I want to talk about, I can only describe some of my later attempts to trade this name as weird. They're not bad. We're not out of the money, but they're weird. So we'll talk about it because we talk about everything here on Trader TV Live. I'm just laughing at myself here, guys. So basically, this CrowdStrike short obviously did not work out. We broke above that at 235 with the viciousness. I was like, Adara, girl, leave. We left. It was all good. It was fine. Then I noticed, I was like, if we come back to that 235, 450-ish area, and we hold and we bounce, maybe try a long. Because I was like, I can play either direction. At that time, we were bouncing off the 90 MA beautifully. I was like, Adara, go for it. Do your thing, 21. Don't be afraid just because you lost in that first trade. And I want to say as well, that's one thing that I really liked about hiding the P&L. As long as I know I haven't risked an absurd amount, which in this CrowdStrike trade I did not, I know it was like, you know, you don't need to look at the P&L. You don't need to worry. Like, you're down in the day, but you still have enough risk to propel forward and keep flying like a little bird or whatever, right? So that analogy was weird, but basically what happened here was I got involved with the CrowdStrike long. I initially got in here at 75s, 234 75s, and then I set an order. The plan was to set an order to get 2/3 of the position out if we got to 235 15s. This would have worked. And I say would have because I fat fingered it and got it out a cool 5 pennies in the money. And I still had 1/5 of the position in, so I was like, like either you just sell now, which would be kind of weird. Like either way, I was like, I'm committed to this position. I want to stay committed, right? So I said, let's leave my 5th in. Let's see what happens. Then I'm actually seeing us continue to hold and bounce off that 234.50 area. So I said, Adara, add to the position. I actually now have a larger position size than I initially had because I liked the level. The plan was to get out half of it at 230, like half the total position at 234.99s or 235.01s. I think it was 235.01s. I don't know if this is going to get filled. If we decisively break below this 234.50 we're trying to hold, I may have to say sayonara. I'm going to be watching to see how we feel in the book because I think realistically I could risk this into 234, but I would like, again, it's not bad trading, it's just weird trading that I've done in this long. So let's see what happens here on CRWD. I should not be crowding into this trade anymore, though, once this is done. But yes, crowd, get your little boogie to the upside. If you want to give me 235.01s, would I be pleased as punch? Yes, I would. Would I fat finger? We're hoping not. How are you doing?
Good. I just took a VWAP dip on Apple, just wet my beak here. I'm looking for continuation. Apple is at the volume weighted average price. A bunch of bottoming tail candles right now. I see, well, they're not bottoming tail. That's a misnomer. They're kind of doji-ish candles of indecision a little bit here. We're long at 49s. Here comes 69. Nice. Let's see if we can get up into possibly 2 to 3. Yeah, I think that's not a lofty goal to touch the whole dollar, maybe around a little bit south of the whole dollar, around 90s. We were rejecting these two candles over here, rejected 79 and 77s, so a bit of a local area of resistance. My stop is below the low of these candles over here, so you can see these bad boys were wicking at 30s. I put my stop a little bit below that, but seeing if we can wet our beak a little bit more here, right back into my level, and down we go again on the dead one, Apple. So we're zigging and zagging. That's why I de-risked. I like the look, though. I like the look, but I like some other stuff better here, Ram. And they basically are, there it is. I like Benzinga a little bit better than this Apple trade at the moment. Ram, we're ready to go? Tired of being late to the trade? Are you always playing catch up in the market? Are you missing out on the big moves because you're too slow to the news? Well, Benzinga Pro is your unfair advantage. Get breaking news alerts up to 30 minutes before everybody else and pinpoint exactly why stocks are moving, and join a thriving community of traders who share their strategies in real time. Are you ready to see how Benzinga Pro can transform your trading? I know I am. Visit benzinga.com/pro and get yourself a free 14-day trial. There it is. There's a gentleman talking there. And apparently he was up 10% or more in that trade, Adara, which is not a bad look.
Go white-haired gentleman. Shout out to you.
All right, so we're out of the money right now on the dead one as we dip into 39s. We're not below my level. My level for the last little out is below 230. We break 30s. I'm Gonzino. We're zigging and zagging right now. But if I had to guess, we're putting in lower highs here. So we could be testing VWAP. I'm looking at the futures as well to see if the futures giving way. And it's not, man. I can't believe what kind of day we're having on the NQ today. This deserves a little bit of a look, Katina, man, because we were really low yesterday. All right. Yesterday at the low, guys, 18.725. Now we have 19,500 essentially as a high. 19,494. We're moving mountains over here. This is one monster move up from top to bottom. What is that percentage? That's 4% from the low yesterday on the dang exchange. This ain't you know, an instrument, or it's not a stock. This is the entire exchange. So what a move up. I really feel this has more microchips related than Mag 7 though, to be quite honest with you. It does seem, right?
Yeah. That's the vibe I'm getting.
What are you looking at?
Yeah, no, I mean, hopefully, yeah, that Apple will Tim Cook to the upside for you. Hopefully. I am in Tesla. I'm in that Cybertruck. And, okay, Cybertruck just had a whole moment here. I'm going to get out 2/3 of the position and then be willing to add. The plan for the Cybertruck is not the way I normally trade Tesla, because normally I will book scalp Tesla, right? That's not what I'm trying to do here. And I want to explain why this is a different trade for me. So with Tesla, I see a beautiful hold of VWAP. But like I said with Tesla, or like I've said in the past with Tesla, what I'm trying to do and what I find has been a little bit more successful for me as of late as I attempt this strategy is trading Tesla more almost purely, or at least very much more emphasis on the levels I'm seeing on the book rather than what I am seeing on the chart. Tesla was hanging out around the 231 for many moons. You could see it reflected in the chart, but you also saw it if you were watching the book. And as Sharif alluded to yesterday, I have the Tesla book up at all times. So I was, in fact, watching the Tesla book. And I was like, cool, Tesla, you want to hold this level? Initially, my brain will always assume to go short. That is just how my brain works. But then I was like, Adara, I don't think the short thesis is the vibe. Now I regret that. We're going to have to get out here if we stay below these 231s, because I'm not loving these lower highs I'm seeing in the book. We're trying to get out here at 90s. If Tesla will give me that fill, come on, Tesla, let me out of that Cybertruck, pound, 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 pound on the window. But yeah, basically the thesis here was to kind of continue to chop and churn and add and subtract as we got in and around and above into that 230. I was looking for a 232 breakout. Clearly that didn't happen. We were almost at 231.60s, which is going to be where I got my first out plan. And then Tesla decided to take a little bit of a huadunk. It's not a massive position here, but I still, again, not happy with how I managed that. It should have been way more on the ball. The second we peeped our little head below that 231, should have been way more expeditious, my exit from that trade. But you know what? That is a hit. We're going to continue to try to strike where the iron's hot and work harder. And with that in mind, I have to talk about CrowdStrike. Because like I said, my trade on CrowdStrike was weird, the long, but it actually ended up being profitable, and I'm happy I stuck with it because I did have the conviction in the long. I was just a skosh discouraged and miffed by me taking out 5 pennies in the money. 2/3 of my position due to a fat finger. Like I said, added so I had a little bit more. Got out half of this here. It was roughly with the average 25 pennies in the money. Got the rest out 40 pennies in the money. And I called this level because I was watching the book. We had that chop and churn around 20s. I picked 21s as my level for reasons I'm sure you can guess, and got out at 235 21s. So that did something for me. Then it dropped. If CrowdStrike wants to continue to range around 234.50 to 235.20, I'm okay with that. But it's not the main thing I'm looking at, because another trade I had eyes on is shaping up right now. It's going to be Humana. You might be like, Adara, what are you doing looking at Humana? That's kind of a weird look. They were an earnings play. They have volume just under 2 million shares. I've traded literally on less. But the main reason I'm looking at this is, look at this range on the 15-minute chart. And also, you can see it on all these charts. If I don't want to enter the bottom of the range, because then I don't really have anything to risk. And yes, I am willing to risk a little bit more on Humana because of the way this one moves. The spread is a little cuckoo. That is something I would have to give this at least $1 or $2. So if I have, again, I don't like checking my P&L, but I need to see if I have enough risk for this, just with all the Tesla and CrowdStrike chop. If we bounce here off the 90 MA, I'm willing to give this a little bit, because I think you can. This has been a nice range. The other thing I want to be aware of, though, is we have lower highs if you look at the 5-minute with a massive topping tail candle into VWAP. This could also be a flat bottom break. Humana, I'll take you whatever direction. You just need to tell me which way your humanity is leaning right now. How are you doing?
I knew there was going to be a humanities thing coming, or a human or something in there. I knew that you were setting up for something there.
Only human. I just want to trade Humana.
All right, I got out of Apple there at 77s. Happy with this trade. We were long at 39s. It's not the best trade in the world, but I'll take it as it weasels its way back up into the whole dollar. Here comes 223. 223 always reminds me of there. My old man. Back like in the day when we, when we were younger, one of his stores was 223-7717. That was the number, and I don't know why I remember it because it was 1988, Adara, and I still remember the number. I know you have an eidetic memory. Yeah. I know your memory is not to be messed with, but I don't know why I still remember this number. But
that's right.
Anyway, so 223 it always reminds me of that. Anyway, I digress though.
It's a weirdly specific number though.
It is. Yeah. It was really easy to remember though, I think because of all the 2s and the 3s and the 7s. I don't know what I'm saying. All right, let's have a look at these side charts over here. This is what I'm looking at today, guys. We've got no small cap gappers today because it's really earnings season right now, and earnings are keeping me quite busy, so we don't need to look away. I'm sorry, Scott H. I know you love the small cap gappers. I see NUZE and POWL, but they did not make it up onto the side chart today. So, all right, here is the look. AMD is the monster we all know it to be, but it had trouble today continuing the move up. Now it's up 5 1/3, but definitely still very downtrendish. We saw the Katina man take this short for a multiple dollar banger. As I look at it now, it's an absolute love affair with a 10 exponential on the 5. The 10 exponential is going to be that solid green line. And as you can see, since that 10 o'clock drop when we broke down below the volume weighted average price, each and every wick or closing print has respected the 10 exponential. Most notably over here, when the price has gotten really volatile, zigging and zagging all these topping tail candles as the market moves up, but AMD moves down. So here we go again, looking to test that LOD on AMD, 145.52, that $0.50 still in play at the moment. But if I had to guess, and that's all that it is right now, based on the price action, I think we break that. Who knows how low we get now? Let's have a look over here. The closing print on our friend AMD was, we're going to use fibs, 138.47. So let's, for the sake of simplicity, let's go ahead and say it's 138.50. All right, so we're going to start dragging our fib tool at that 50, and we're going to go, let's go to the high from this morning. That one, let's say 53 and 2/3, a half, something like that. All right, so now we're doing the dance with no pants at that 50% retracement, given the closing print from yesterday and the high that we printed in during market hours, what I want to say. It's not a pre-market high. This high that we put in came in at 9:45. So the reason is because you need to be a little bit suspicious of the pre-market because it's on lighter volume. All right, so we're at 50% right now. We'll see if we hold up here. I think we probably retrace a little bit more, maybe 144. That's the 38.2%. In and around that area. Again, remember, fibs are zones. They're not price levels, okay? So don't take them as levels, take them as zones. You should be looking in a particular zone. We'll see what we get from AMD. We'll keep eyes on this one, but continuing to print to the downside. Starbucks, for whatever reason, I don't know why, being bought up here. It was not a good report by any means. It got bought up in the aftermarket, and it's getting bought up today. So have at it, Starbucks investors. I'm not interested. But right now, it's zigging and zagging with VWAP right now, 79.25, putting in higher lows and higher highs. Just a skosh above the volume weighted average price. We've got pins as well, an earnings loser. Looks like as if, it was a tough look for them in the guide, but everything else did quite well. This one also respecting the 10 exponential on the 5. Every single print subsequent to 9:35 has rejected off that solid green line on my chart. Use that as a possible gauge. Upstart, Adara put this on the watch list this morning. They got the nod from Mizuho, and a double upgrade, might I add, from underperform to outperform, skipping everything in between. And you can see the price action today. Good look right now for Upstart. Closed at $26 yesterday, knocking on the door of 29. Actually, it breached it, so good look there. Keep your eye on Upstart. This one, a little bit lighter on volume, though. Boeing is a zig and zag. As you can see there, it looks like a sound wave. There, I looked over right away. 191.5 seems to be a bit of an area top with maybe 187 as that low, but it has been breached on occasions, as you can see over there, so a bit tougher gauge. I'm sorry, I'm going through all the different ones that I've got on my side chart. AVGO is just a dang monster. It's up 10% and it didn't even have a headline. It's AMD's headline. Broadcom, calm down. You're not supposed to be up in sympathy more than the actual name. 158.03, sorry, Ram. 158.03 high of day. This one also having a lot of respect for the 10 exponential on the 5. We're going to have to look at this one because this one's doing quite well. And last but not least here, CrowdStrike, we had that nice long off that 233 3/4. That is the closing print from yesterday. CrowdStrike continues to reel after that disastrous last week for them, and we're going to have to see, how much they're going to owe in liability here because the lawsuits are coming in fast and furious, Adira.
They are. They are coming in with a viciousness and a ferocity. They're coming in with Fast and Furious 1. They're coming in with Too Fast, Too Furious. I'm going to stop making Fast and Furious jokes.
Love it.
But yeah, also, someone in the chat was saying something pretty funny, saying my pun was inhumana. It was pretty inhumane. You got to make those puns, got to live life. Amazon, get going. I feel like I need to say this every time I'm on Amazon, but oh boy. The reason I looked at this is probably going to surprise no one, and it was the range. Look at this base here that we had. This 180, what is this, 186.60, top of about 187.20. I look at this as we're at the top of the range. And you guys know my trigger is always on the trigger to go short. I was like, hello, Amazon? But then it didn't. We were making higher lows. We kept bouncing off 19s, which is basically the top of the range. So I said, Adira, if you're seeing this, I think you owe it to yourself to try the long. And then what you can do is you can risk the midpoint of this range where we have this beautiful little bottoming tail candle on the 90 MA. That's where you look for your risk. So if we break below that 187, I'm outie. I'm only risking 20 pennies. We're almost 20 pennies on the money on it, so I'm okay with that. Thank you, I appreciate that. But I'm going to start getting some of this out because I don't like the way that we were rejected at those 40s levels. So we're going to get some out here at 39s. Looks like we're going to get that hopefully right away. Yeah, Amazon, I'm talking to you right away. But yeah, if we come back and we make higher lows, I'm willing to add into this. Amazon is a little bit more of a long con for me, a long game, because I do, pun intended, maybe because it's also long. But yeah, I just want to see us continue to make higher highs, higher lows. I'm willing to stay in this trade because I love that base we made there at 186.60 from a range to a hold. I'm sold. Or bought, I guess, because again, I'm in the long. Tesla was a little bit of a heartbreaker here. So I'm joking, my heart is not broken, my heart is fine. But I got initially long here, then we broke below VWAP. I managed this poorly, and I also got involved, I would argue, probably too early. I should have either risked more or panic sold less. The point is, I need to go back and aggressively journal about this trade. But that level I like, that 230, 130s, I still like it. You had one losing trade, but as 21 Savage says, you got to take less L's and make more M's. And also, as Sean has said, and as I've talked about as well, if your only reason for not getting in a trade is because you had a losing trade in this name earlier today, I don't think that's the reason. And I've noticed that as well. Like, I've stopped myself from getting involved in trades because I'm like, oh, well, I lost on it before. But if I had done that, I wouldn't have had this CrowdStrike winner. Again, this is not like the trade of anybody's lifetime, but it was a winning trade, and it was from a loss on CrowdStrike earlier. So I think if you see, at least how I like to look at it is if I see levels on a stock I like, I owe it to myself to trade it. But now what I'm seeing on Tesla is also maybe a little bit of a reversey, a little flippity flip here from support to resistance at 230, 130s. That was the top of this range. Now it's the bottom of the support. We're bouncing off the 90 MA. Hi, Tesla. I'm going to start building a position here at 50s. And it's going to be a decent-ish size position, about the same size, I think, as I started this position earlier. I'm willing to add here if we get to 41s and hold, if we break decisively below 30s, if I see a change in the tide on the book. I am outie. I know this is a little bit chart-based because I like the way we're looking on the 90 MA, but it's also mostly based, as I said, on what I saw in the book and the way we have been chopping and churning with TSLA. Tesla, are you really going to go back to 30s on me already? That's cool. That's cool. I'm willing to add a few bounce here. So watch out, Tesla. If it wants to continue ranging, I'll play that range too. I have no qualms. I am qualmless. I want to see what it does here at VWAP. Amazon, kind of giving me a topping tail candle, so maybe both of my little Meg 7 children are going to be a bit of problem children today. But as I said, if Amazon bounces here around these 187s, as long as we stay above 187s, I have I have some qualms. You always want some qualms, but I am mostly qualmless. So let's go Tesla, let's go Amazon. I believe in both of you. You got to motivate these stocks. Go punks. How are you doing?
I like it. Go punks. Yeah, punks. PMEC. I don't know why my chart went blank. Hello, computer. Let's go. I got work to do. Here we go. PMEC showed up on my scanner, guys, as it breached 85 pennies. If you know, you've been watching the show, you know I filter my scanner to basically remove everything south of 85 pennies and south of about 250,000 shares. Here we go, Scott. I got one. You probably have eyes on it already. Started out its life today at 53 pennies. Oh, baby. We got up to 99s at the high, so there is still that $1 trade to be had. In case you're wondering, there is a bit of a different trade here between south of $1 and north of $1. Sometimes you use it as support or resistance. Once it breaks through, it's not a hard and fast rule. I should say to you that my observation of the sub $1 stocks lately is a zig and zag with $1. So sometimes they take it and then they give it back pretty quickly. So don't be quick to want to use that dollar as support once it's breached. Here we go, though. I don't have a headline for this, but this company is Primec Holdings, $34 million market cap with the 74% pump that it's on today. 57 million shares traded. It's got a minuscule float of 4.2 million shares. And let's find out the short float and shout out the NOS boss and his crew there at Trade Ideas. 1.38% of the float is shorted, so not much to talk about there, but it's got a gnarly looking chart pattern. And look, I'm not telling you guys use MACD for entries and exits, but typically, there are a lot of small cap traders that will really keep their eye on the MACD signal line, where they are relative to one another based on, or basically, they won't go long unless the MACD line is above the signal line. And they'll go short when the MACD line is below the signal line. I know it's a super simplistic way to kind of talk about small cap trading because it's way more nuanced than that. But keeping my MACD, ATR, and RSI all up here. And I'm going to keep this on the single chart so we can always use it together when we do this analysis. I'm very interested on this name. Got a 99 penny high and a great looking chart on the day. It looks like it was an earnings winner yesterday or something like that because it started moving at 4 o'clock. So I've got it up here on the trading screen. So we'll have a look, see here. We're doing a dance with absolutely no underwear or pants at 92 pennies. Let's see if we can move up a little bit more. I like this support level over here, 82. That is beautiful support level because we crested out there, tanked, cleared it, came back to it, and held 82 almost to the dang T. So good look there. But I think, Ram, we have another ad read. Yeah, I think we do have another ad read over here. Yes. 11:38, you told me, right?
Yeah, I think it's 11:39, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, Ram, we ready to do the ad read? Here we go, baby. Want a chance to win $1,000 every day? Stonks.com is giving out $1,000 daily, and entering is super easy. Predict the stock price after the earnings report. Today, we're looking at Meta. All it takes is 30 seconds to join. Just go to Stonks with an S and K, STONKS.com, sign up, and hit the make prediction button and potentially win $1,000. It's that simple. Each day, you get one free ticket to predict. Want more chances? Share your referral link and get 5 extra tickets for each sign up. Go to stonks.com. Don't miss out. And good luck. And you gotta love saying the word stonks.
It's fine, yeah. Stonks go up, and stonks go stonks. Team
Absolutely.
Stonks.
Yeah. So sorry, I wanted to look at our friend PMEC over here, Derek, because he's doing a bit of a zig and zag. So I'm very interested in getting in on this name. Scott, let me know what you think about this bad boy over here, PMEC. If you're in the chat, let me know, Scott.
Nice. Okay. So Tesla, I want to talk about because. This is something I'm going to have to aggressively journal about. I want to talk about what I did in this trade because I know it was a little bit different than the initial plan, but sometimes you look at things and you have to be like, what? Sometimes things change, sometimes situations change. And I know I sound like an R&B song, but basically what I'm trying to get at here is I changed my plan up on Tesla. I'm going to have to aggressively journal about it because but what I did here with TSLA, like I said, entry point probably once again on Tesla a little gross, 231.50s. But then what I saw was like I said, I ended up getting out. I did not manage the first position particularly well. In here, one could argue perhaps successfully I didn't manage this position particularly well either. But I digress. Basically, what I was trying to say here is when I was in that first trade, I noticed when we broke below 231s, we got to like 230.70s before we got a bit of a bounce. Here, Tesla was holding on to 231s pretty well on the book. And I was like, you know what, Adara? I think it's a panic sell here. I think this isn't exactly how you wanted to do it. You've already arguably held it a bit against you, but it's like, if you still see that bounce level, maybe add. So I did add. I ended up adding at 20s when I saw us climb up a little bit more. Again, am I like massively proud of any of the decisions made here? Arguably not. I need to do some more journaling, but I want to stick with the position because I still believe in Tesla, and I think the higher lows on both the book and the chart at that base level are not anything to be upset over. I'm going to get out 40% of the position if we get to 231.70s, but I highly doubt I will be hooping and hollering because I don't really think I deserve to in this trade. And I think that's sometimes one of the best parts of trading. You know, I like to be positive, but I like to be honest as well. Adara, what were you doing here? Sincerely, Adara. Like I said, I basically flattened it now. It's not even about the P&L, it's about the process here, I think. That was a little, you know, stick out your tongue and make horrified face for me personally. On TSLA. Amazon also I got out of. We got below 187. I got out. That was but I did take profit on half of it. But that being said, Amazon, if you want to go back to your old range, hi. Hi, Adara. Nice to meet you. How are you doing today? But yeah, I'm gonna stop introducing myself to Amazon. Couple pennies in the money here in Tesla. Like I said, regardless of whether or not this is a green trade, like monetarily, it was not a green trade process-wise in my humble estimation. So that's something I want to learn from. Had a good day the last 2 days, but things can always switch up, and so you just have to make sure like. Don't rest on your laurels. Try to grow every single day. Let's see how this TSLA goes. Again, I do stand by the general impetus of the trade. I would stand by it more if I had made less questionable life choices. But that's why we learn and we grow, and that's why I'm so honored and humbled to be on this desk every single day, because I want to be. I'm honored to be able to get to learn in front of this awesome little community. CVNA is in a great uptrend today, says Grov. Now at a key level of resistance on the daily. I'm going to keep my eye on my Tesla book because it's up at all times, but I want to look at Carvana because let's see if that's giving you nirvana if you're long or if you're short. Carvana, but it took me way too long also to realize that was the whole reference of the name, because Sharif can testify he was there the day I was like, oh, that's cute. They have a little logo. The logo has a halo over the car. And she was like, yeah, because it's Carvana. And he was very nice.
Nirvana,
he was very nice about it. And I was like, oh, wow, yeah. But anyways, yeah, shout out to Sharif and to Garov here and to Carvana up almost 8%. Look at these bottoming tail candles here into that 136.20 area. This is a great look here for Carvana, bouncing off the 90 MA. This is fantastic. And I want to take a look at the daily chart as well, because you mentioned the daily uptrend as well. They report tonight, so let's see how that one goes. If you know you're going to be any card carrying shorts here. Trying to make a car pun didn't really work. Thank you.
I like that.
Wow, Garov. This Carvana daily chart gets my first pushback of the day. Why? Look at all this resistance here at 125, and we have support here now flipping, and not perfectly around 125, right? 123. But look at this support resistance flip flop here in Carvana. All these bottoming tail candles into that 123, 125 area, and we're holding. We're making higher lows. I love this. I think if we can successfully clear this area into which we have wicked quite a few times at that 137. I don't think this is a bad look at all at Carvana. Also, I did get out of 40% of my Tesla trade. So I want to talk about it. Like I said, I do not want to be doing any intense celebrating here because I would not be celebrating like necessarily the process of this trade, but I'm going to ride with it, pun kind of intended because it is a car. Right now we are 30 pennies in the money on the average. If I keep seeing higher highs, I'm willing to continue to piece out of this and potentially add if we see higher highs, higher lows. But right now, I think it's probably best to just ride with the position I have. Don't like what we're doing here around 50s, so we might have to get some out here if we get to like 55, 60s. We're through. Oh, hello, Tesla. You're going to come in here? Yeah, we're going to get some here at 59s and then save a scintilla of shares here. If we can get 59s, I'd be pleased as dang punch. But again, not pleased as dang punch with the overall strategy. And I think that's something that you want to remember as well. You can have one thing that Obi and Neil have said as well. I remember once I had like a losing trade in NVIDIA because I went short when it broke above 500, which was a choice. But anyways, I remember I was like, oh yeah, like I lost in that trade. And Obi was like, well, did you follow your plan though? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, then that's not like, you know, it's a winning trade in that way. So I want to shout that out. Tesla though gets a big F for me for plan following. But either way, I want to ride with the rest of this trade. Beep, beep, ride till the wheels fall off. Tesla, you're not my ride or die, but you're my ride or I'm here. I don't know. Your turn.
All right, I'm in PMEC. We're gonna give this one the old community college try, guys. My out is 93 pennies. We're long 102. We're looking for a dollar hold. It's zigging and zagging, so we're gonna risk a little bit here. Let's see if it can hold above a buck. It's up 93%. Let's go, PMEC. This other one though, I want to shout out Soup Soup. Shout out to you, Soup Soup. Because Boeing is breaking out finally. Boeing was in like a very dead range for whatever reason with 191.5 basically acting as resistance all dang morning. And that got broken right here, 191.5 on a closing basis. We're blowing through 192 like it didn't even matter as a whole dollar level. Oh, baby, we're all the way up into 193. Boeing up 3.25 on bad report. But then again, you know, they do have a new CEO. And well, that could bring changes, right? Because David Calhoun did so much better than the CEO before him, right?
Is that sarcasm?
Of course it is. Yeah, it's because anyway, I love the company growing up, and obviously I'm a huge plane enthusiast, but this is just bad to watch. So keeping an eye right now on Boeing. It's doing a zig and zag with 193, but good move up there for Boeing after basically being in, I don't know, I couldn't discern a trend this morning for BA. So we'll keep an eye on that. PMEC, we're still zigging and zagging. We're at 98 pennies. I'm long 102. I'm out of the money by 4 pennies, but it's a little bit above a buck, a little bit below. The reason I put my out at 93 is because there's an area crest at 94. So if we break above a buck and retrace, it should hold 94. Now I could move it a skosh down below 92, give it a couple of pennies, but I've already put it in and I'm gonna stick with it. So we'll see if we can get up a little bit above $1 or we're gonna get stopped out at 93. It looks like right now we are gonna reject that $1 area as we come back down now into 96s, 97s. We'll keep tabs on this one. PMEC, small cap gapper, the #1 name right now on my scanner, up 85 and change, was up higher. All right, let's look at some other stuff over here. What is making moves? So we have all these side charts, none of which include small cap gappers, funny enough today, because there's just so many earning names to trade. Looks like Upstart is putting in a bit of a top now. Uh-oh. All right, so now we're getting this consolidative area, $29 for whatever reason, acting as that local area of resistance. Let's scroll down and see if we can get an updated price here on Upstart, because it doesn't update for whatever reason. This platform is going to be the bane of my existence. All right, yeah, now we're below 29. What I want to see here is this going to be a nice, you know, healthy 10 exponential retracement down at 28.85, maybe even at 20, or are we going to start curling back down now? So Upstart up 11 1/5, was up higher at the top, but right now we are finding a bit of resistance at that $29 area. So more to come on that. We're going to keep tabs on that. But AVGO just doesn't stop, guys. What the hell is this thing doing? Why is it up 10%? Katina, man, I know the NVIDIA's up 12%. AVGO is up 9.6. NVIDIA had one of the worst days in a long time yesterday. It looks like right now AVGO bouncing off 156.50. Now it's at 157.50, Katina, man. That was a 20-period retracement. The first one on the day for AVGO. Broadcom is...
Meanwhile, we're $4 short on it.
The Katina, man, is $4 short on AMD. And I shouted you out when you weren't here on that trade, by the way, because it was basically going against the trend, and he happened to catch the top. So four banger for the Katina man on AMD. Let's look at some Mag 7 names, see what's afoot over here. We've got Apple right back at VWAP. Okay, so this is interesting here with a lower high. This is interesting. Apple, you know, didn't really gap up that aggressively today. We talked about this one earlier on, and it's now at the same area that I got in long last time, but most notably, it put in that lower high. So we could give way here on Apple at 222.5, 222.25 if this VWAP, you know, doesn't hold. So AAPL possibly in some trouble. NVIDIA is just up into the dang right. I can't believe this thing's up 12%, bro. This thing's a $3 trillion company. You can't be moving 12% in a day. Like, that's just blasphemous.
You would think.
You would think. Clearly, I don't think. I'm wrong, obviously, because it did it.
It's weird that it did it, though. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah,
it's just ridiculous. So good look there for NVIDIA. It's dancing with 116.5 right now, there.
Yeah, Gen Sanity. That's all you can say in NVIDIA. And, okay, AMD I got short. I want to explain why I shorted AMD, because That was not initially what I was looking at. This was when I had on my side chart. And I was like, okay, 145, interesting, whole dollar level, $5 level, not either that either of those necessarily means anything, but we had a bit of a bottoming tail candle, and I watched what we did at the book at 145. We couldn't hold 145, so I was like, okay, cool, Adara, take your short, decent-ish size, not a huge position, enough to, get me by. We're weirdly bouncing off 80s here, so if we keep bouncing off 80s and it looks like we might, I'm gonna get out it's a weird math. I took a weird amount of shares. So we're going to take out a portion that is slightly above half of this position at 80s. Again, guys, I don't know the math. It's a random position, random size number. We break below 80s now, though. Let's go amped. If we come back here to 144, if we come back to 144.90s and reject again, I'm going to add to this position. Also, in case you're like, hey, Adara, what are you risking for this? Because that was maybe an issue when you planned your Tesla trade. If you were, I'm thinking that because that's what happened. But I'm risking into 40s, 145.40. Why? Because that was that previous base there of that low. So if we keep making lower highs, lower lows, that's what I want to see. As Sharif has always said, use your impetus for getting into the trade sometimes to help you get out of the trade, because you kind of want that symbiosis when you're planning your trading. And that's something I totally like. So we do have 20 pennies in the money. I'm willing to continue to add if we get back to 144.90s and we reject again. We just wicked here beautifully into 144.20s, and before I could panic, AMD came right back down. So I do think there is some resistance here in the book and the chart at 145s. Also, I was like, and I also, because I was talking to Sean yesterday, because he's, I had a bit of one of my better days yesterday, and Sean and I were talking, and he's like, well, you only, thank you, I appreciate that. He's like, well, you only traded 3 names, right? So I think I've been trying to simplify the names. I've traded 4 names so far today, so that was also, I was like, I don't want to take AMD because I've already traded it. But it's like, if you like the setup, take it. It shouldn't matter how many names you've traded if you have a read on said names. So AMD right now, this is the type of trade I like, whole dollar low of day breaks. That's sometimes my vibe. So let's see how that goes. I was trying to watch the SPY for the 551 breakdown, and I was not watching hard enough because SPY came, saw, and conquered that level. So good look for the S&P 500. Falling nicely below the 90 MA on the 5-minute chart. But guess what, SPY? I'm watching you for 2 levels here. 1, 550.50. Why? Look at that support or resistance that we had earlier. Then we bounce off it beautifully. Smoke. I want it. Then the 551 would be my other level. Like I said, whole dollar level. I missed it initially, but if it comes back and we either bounce or reject, I would like it to take it either as a long or a short, respectively, depending on what we do. I also need to update everybody here on my Tesla trade. I want to shout out I am Chris Hendricks, congratulating me in the Tesla trade. I appreciate that. Thank you. But like I said, I don't congratulate myself on this because I should have planned it better. Like I said, I stayed in because I believed in the trade. We did have higher lows on the chart, but I risked more than I was initially planning on risking into it. We did a profitable on it. It's all good, baby. It's not a dream right now. Not a dream.
Thank you.
But the best thing with trading is if you find stuff you like, if you stick with it, things can always hopefully get better. At least not in your P&L, but in your mindset. And I think that's huge. Amazon, you're going to keep doing this range here? Because every time I'm like, oh, well, Amazon has to stop its range. There's no way it can keep its range. Amazon's like, do you want to watch me? And it does. Like I said, it's roughly 186.60, 186.70, all the way up to 187.20. But we're seeing higher lows. If we get back to 187 and reject, I am going to short the Zon over here. So hopefully it'll be oh boy in a good way, not oh boy in a bad way, should I take this trade if it goes back on its wazos to the downside.
We have a midday guest.
Hi.
Who doesn't typically make his way on.
It's some sort of chicken teriyaki again. So I stole half a piece of chicken,
Yay.
and then I got the little tuna. Can you see this? You got the little tuna there, the salad. That's what's good for your boy over here. No, I just want to say I think Adara is 100% right with looking at a lot and how much she's grown. So congratulations, Adara, for this opinion. And I just want to remind everybody that in 2 hours, I know you guys are talking about this, but you have Fed coming out. So we're still short this AMD. It's just that's still that same 20%. We're going to get out here if it breaks through 146. But other than that, I don't have anything else on. And I think that the important thing to understand is that this range could be pretty consistent for the next 2 hours. So I think when you're talking about a stock like Amazon, then of course we had that bottom. I mean, I think it could range out. For me, guys, you guys can trade whatever you want, but I think the best names to trade right now would be the ones that are actually, making the stronger moves. So, I mean, I would look for NVIDIA.
Right.
We talked about NVIDIA 112 to 116. That already came through right there. So, it's not that it's going to be tough. You guys always do a great job, but I do feel like it will be more range bound for the next little while. So, I agree with all this kind of scalping. Until next time, my friends.
Special
Sean.
midday guest. Yes, thank you, Katina Man. The Katina Man dropping hot lines at midday, and you're about to see another big kahuna in like a few minutes because Neil will be dropping his hot lines of the day on Neil's lesson of the day. So make sure to hang out with us. Neil will be on shortly as he comes on around noon every day to give us his lesson. So I'm still in PMEC. We're a whole, a gnarly, a decent, a big, I don't know what else word to use. 1 penny in the money here, looking for that $1 break again. It is eluding me as we come back into that 94 penny area that I really liked. I added there and we held there. So right now I have some validation for my, I guess, the look that I was talking about, having that area of support at 94, previous crest, now trough. What I'm not getting is the break and the hold above a buck, and that's what I need right now. So that's eluding me at the moment. So we're going to pack our patience stops in place. We've added where we wanted, and now we're either going to get stopped out or we're going to print. So we're again in the money, but it's really having trouble with that dollar. And here we go above a buck again. You can see it zig and zag. Now we're 101, one here on the bid. There is not that much size at 101, which almost leads me to believe right away there's a big boy iceberg, and down we go again. So we're having all sorts of trouble with that $1 level. I'm just going to let it, manifest in whatever way it wants to, because we're already in the trade. We've added it. I like my levels. And that's really all that there is to that. Now let's look at some of these Mag 7 names, because we're getting a bit of a pullback right now. So we reclaimed 19,500 after, I don't know, a week or so being below that level. And now we're finding a little bit of a curl. You're seeing it on the soft one. You're seeing it on goggles. Goggles has been weak all day for whatever reason. NVIDIA now curling down into the 10 exponential. Apple's been hanging out at VWAP for a while. Adara just finished talking about Amazon coming into that 20 exponential. I don't know if she mentioned the 20 exponential.
I did not.
Yeah, it's at 186.60, 186.50, whatever the situation is. So there is a bit of a curl now on these markets. It could be healthy, though. We're still higher highs and higher lows. We're still above the 20 on most of these names. So keeping an eye, seeing exactly where we can get in. But the Katina Man's point is well taken, right? A lot of sit on my hands and wait, kind of posturing could be taken by some of the bigger traders right now as we wait to hear whether or not we will get that September rate cut. It's all but, guaranteed at this point. Papa Powell could throw us a curveball. He is the reversion man, right? So who knows what we could get here. Are you guys coming on earlier today? You're not coming on early, are you? Yeah, we'll find out from Brendo or whatever when he's there. Another rejection of $1 at the Katina Man wants a raise to come on a few minutes earlier. Shout out to the Katina Man. We're still. Well, they're going to say yes. What do you think?
They will say yes, I would think.
Still doing the dance here with $1 on PMEC Adair.
Yeah, so AMD, shout out to Sean, who's still in the money in that trade. I ended up getting out at AMD for a profit, but I want to explain why I got out where I did. For my purposes, I was not liking what I was seeing in the book at 145. I added, because we did have that wick above. I was like, okay, cool. And then we were kind of holding it a little bit in the book. I said, Adara, just get out at 85. So you go like 18, 20 pennies in the average position. Not like the world's greatest trader or anything like that, but I need to work at this. Sometimes they'll be like, oh, we're leaving, and then actually we're curling in the book for a big move lower, which is what happened here. So maybe next time it's like, take out half the position. I already took some profit in AMD, so I didn't really need to, which you can't really see. Zoom in so you can see I did take profit on this twice. So I already taken some profit on that, so it's like I could have just taken out another piece, then waited, but woulda, coulda, shoulda. Again, aggressive journaling to happen tonight. I feel like this has not been, after a couple of good days, this is not my best day. And again, I'm not even talking about P&L, I'm talking about the process here, because as I said, for me, I'm trying to make P&L stand for progress and learning, because that's why I've been hiding my little blotter, and I think that's been generally pretty helpful here in terms of how I feel like it's been helping my trading. Tesla, though, I was watching, because Tesla was in a big old range. I've been waxing poetic about little Tesla's little range here. Little Tesla. Tesla's going to get offended if I call it little Tesla. But Tesla's got that little range there on the book and the chart around that 231.30 up into about 232. We did eclipse that 232 level. Then we came back down. I was watching this at 231.40 because that would have been a lower high or a lower area from what we had seen earlier in the book. But I mean, hey, like Tesla, if you want to break below, have some confluence here, this VWAP breakdown and that 231, I'm going to have qualms. I'm not going to say I'll be qualmless, because I will have qualms. I'll be deeply I'll be deeply skeptical because Tesla has been a skosh bamboozling at this 231. You guys know it chopped and churned me in my losing trade and my winning trade on this name. But if I see a break below 231, a retest, I know what levels I want because I've been watching this in both directions. If we break decisively above 40, I'm outie, right? So it's now that I've been watching a little bit longer, scheming, plotting, scheming, hopefully getting some money here. Shout out to Drake's for this thing. Hopefully we'll be the furthest thing from rinsed if we get back in this trade. Also, speaking of buttons here, if there's any stocks you're looking at, I guess we're not doing the rundown because it's FOMC maybe, so I don't know. But,
good call.
So I'm going to hold off on pressing that button. But generally...
We're definitely not
doing the rundown, but generally, if there's any tickers you're looking at on a day that is not today, and you want to find out what happens, if you want to see what Sean and Neil would have traded on a non-FOMC day, like say tomorrow, or other days that are not today, you could always vote and get in that chat, ! Join space $, whatever ticker's happening here. Shout out to Chill Vibes talking about Tesla, saying Tesla was so stressful. So you took some profit there, but then there was the flush down. I love that level you got involved at that 231.20 because that was a level I was watching as well, though your entry point definitely much better than mine. Tesla trying to get back to this level, though. Like I said, if Tesla has a little rejectla at this 231.30, once again, if we see a flip from resistance to support on the range, somebody's going short. That somebody would be me, but that somebody will be deeply skeptical as well. So that's going to be the levels I like. Also, a stock I haven't. Oh, CrowdStrike, I abandoned you. You're so pretty. Okay, so why do I like CrowdStrike here? Lower highs, lower lows, flat bottom break. We had a baby flat bottom break at 235, but oh my God, CrowdStrike, if you want to give us like a big flat bottom break, like an adult flat bottom break here, at this 230, just below 234. I apologize just for like sighing, but this chart's so good I cannot speak, Sharif. I cannot even. This is a beautiful chart here on CRWD. Also, AMD trying to make a higher low. The level, as I said, I liked on this was 144.80. That was a big level on the book. So if we come back here, reject that, I'll take you short again, AMD. Do not even worry about it. That's the thing. You're not always going to have winning trades, but I think if you keep your mindset positive and if you keep focusing on learning, I think that's been huge. So good times.
Sounds good. Kill it, Adara, on that.
Hopefully.
I'm printing here on the Zon. We took the Zon long at the 20 exponential. Go Amazon. Sorry. I'll get it together, guys. Sorry. I'm long Microsoft. I'll get it together. I will. The reason I got in here, it's a 50 exponential, and we've had respect with the 50 exponential today on Microsoft. Just have a look at that candle at 1050. It held up there, but we're coming right back down into that area. So my stop, already wet our beak, is at 77. I have to adjust that stop, otherwise it'll get me short. Oh, here we go. Wow, that was aggressive. Let's adjust our stop there, 415. And then we'll put that one out there over here. There we go. We'll get that. There we go. So now we put in the stop. That's a bit of a tough one. Thankfully, I was able to take out some there. That was a wrong idea. Looks like I'm going to get stopped out now as we did bounce off that area. But am I positive or negative on it here? Let's have a look. All right, we're marginally positive, but we'll keep eyes on this one. That was obviously not the right idea, even though I was able to scathe or get out of unscathed is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, that one bounced right off and made a new low below that doji candle on the 5. So that was not the right idea there on Softy. Hey, give it a try, give it the old community college try, no go. It still hasn't really given way, even though I got stopped out, right back above 416. These two candles of indecision don't kind of disqualify my trade. They don't really tell me my trade is wrong. We could still hold up here. The reason I like that level, there's been all sorts of respect for whatever reason on the 50 exponential on the 5. Not one that I use as often. You see me more with the 10 and the 20, but today, the 50's featuring on Microsoft here at the on the 5 minute. So it looks like my stop was a little too tight, but that's okay. I'm going to keep my eye on this one to see if it can curl back up. Now, I'd really like it if we reclaimed 19.5 again. I think we'd get a good bounce off that level on Microsoft, but it is not coming in quite yet. The other one that I got stopped out of, PMEC. I gave this one the old community college try. It didn't work. I got in at a level that I liked. It ended up holding that level. We breached one, but that was as good as we could do with 3 lower highs now. So we'll take a bit of a hit on this one. That's all right. We're going to look to trade something else. What is the next trade, as the Canobe always likes to say? This one breaking down below my level. That's why I got out of that. Let's make sure we have no outstanding script orders that can get us in trouble that we don't have notice of. So those are the looks for now. I'm still interested on Apple. I was able to trade this successfully off the volume weighted average price, and something's afoot here with the dead one Apple being held up above VWAP. What I'm concerned about and why I'm not trading it at this level is because, number one, the range is really tightening up. Number two, we're putting in lower highs. So I am concerned about a bottom break. That bottom break, whatever your level is, it's either 222.5 where VWAP is, or you could use the bottom wick of the candles at the $0.25 or a third of a dollar. In any event, it's lower highs with a flat bottom, which jives with the previous price action of the day. 222.5 was a bit of an area top from 9:30 to when we broke it at 10:15. So now we're using that same area as support, not just VWAP there. So check in terms of, I said check, and then Benzinga said check in my ear.
What?
Yeah, because you know how it always calls out different tickers?
That's weird.
It literally just said check.
Confluence.
I'm buying a lottery ticket. So that's a look there. What else we got? What else? I'm just looking to see what is moving. Let's flip back here to the daily movers, see what's afoot. Okay, Upstart. So we had the right idea with you here. You did top out at 29 and change, and then you came into that beautiful 20 exponential on the 5, and looks like you're weaseling your way back up into 29 now. 28.98. Upstart continues to go after that good upgrade from Mizuho. I didn't even get a chance to read what Mizuho had to say about the reason for ups. Did you have an opportunity to read that?
I couldn't find it.
Neither could I.
And I couldn't find it.
Neither could I. So yeah, Mizuho, do better, bro. We need to know why you're upgrading stuff. You can't just, tell us you're upgrading and stuff.
Especially when you're going to raise the price target from $17 to $31, and you're going to go from underperform to outperform. We need a highlighted bullet pointed list and maybe a PowerPoint, Mizuho, just for future reference.
Yeah, Dan Dolev. That's you, Dan Dolev. I know about you, Dan.
Danny D.
You're on my you know what list now, Dan. You better start releasing those reasons, otherwise.
Maybe they did it, we just didn't find it. I don't know. That's too funny.
We're having a good time here. Continue, man. Chill Vibes. BA, oh baby. I want to shout out Chill Vibes for this because BA did top out there 193.5. But look at this, Chill Vibes is coming into the 10 exponential. What I really like on BA is for it to hold that 191.5. How many times this morning from 9:30 onwards do we reject that general 191.5 level? Now we're coming into the 10 exponential, which is at 192.25. Not good enough for me. I'd like to see a key area of technical support hold up here. BA breaking out of that range that it was in all morning and definitely off the lows. This thing touched 183 and now it's at 193. Okay, get it, BA.
Get it, BA. Boeing. Black Sheep. Have you any CEOs? They do now, which is good. They have Kelly Ortberg, new CEO there. Dollar Club, Sean?
He's printing up a storm on AMD.
$5 club on AMD. Oh, my Lord. Let's take a look at AMD over here. Yeah, AMD. Okay, clearly got out of AMD too early. I should have been watching that 145 rejection. Woulda, coulda, shoulda on that. I want to shout out Sean, though. This 90 EMA rejection and that specifically that 145 level still on watch for me. I'm in Tesla, and I actually am intermittently in and out of the money on this. I want to talk, though, about the plan for this. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, that 231.20 area. That's where I initially got short. Did not have a huge position. The plan was to get, I got out, I think 20 pennies in the money, 2/3 of the position at 230, just above 231, because we kept having an issue breaking that level. So my plan was to chop and turn, add, subtract as we got our way to the downside. And Tesla had other plans. It said, I could do that, Adara, or I could just fall. And I was like, well, you could, but that makes my plan a little bit differently. So I already had my order set, got my 20 pennies in the money, but then I wanted more of the position. I only had a fifth left, and I had a third left. And I still felt like Tesla had more opportunity for downside. That being said, the thing that has me a skosh hesitant about this trade is that we're still seeing a bit of a bounce there at that 230.70s, which was sort of the bottom of a pseudo range that Tesla was making earlier. But I'm going to wait and see here what we do at 231, those 20 areas. If we stay below that, I'm cool staying in this trade. Happy I added back in because the plan for the trade was to add in, not necessarily at the level I would have wanted to, but I wanted to have that add subtract action. And the fact we're really struggling to stay decisively below 231 is calming some of my issues I have with the fact that we are making higher lows on the book. So I'm going to see here, we might just have to get everything out at 90s. Obviously, that would not be the trade of anyone's lifetime, but I can't. numbers don't lie. Check the scoreboard, or in this case, check the order book. And the order book is telling me there's something a little bit amiss here still at this 231, especially with this being a level earlier. I want to give this the credence that it deserves. Also, CrowdStrike, I was making like weird sounds and weird faces at this CrowdStrike. Wasn't able to get filled. This thing gets a big volume to the downside. We get the flat bottom break. Oh, I didn't get it. But if we come back to 234 here and we reject, I will get involved. CrowdStrike, watch out for me. This is just a beautiful technical breakdown that I'm very sad I was not able to be a part of. But then again, we have the Tesla trade. No complaints here, no regrets, as Obi and We're the Millers, the movie, have said here. So I want to take a look at my TSLA. Let's see this one grinding lower. Someone was asking here about BT. Yes, James Welsh, I am short on Tesla. That is what I am doing. So that was the plan there. We'll see if this continues to stick. I want to watch Tesla here, if what we do at 231.20s. But also someone wanted to look at BTBT here, which is one of those Bitcoin-related stocks. Nice uptrend bouncing off the 9 EMA and VWAP. I need to watch my Tesla, though, because it's getting a little stressy over here for a TSLA. How are you doing at Microsoft?
Good. Did you read anything about this Kelly guy, Ortberg?
I think.
Do you know anything about this dude?
No, there was a past... some kind of past aerospace-related position.
Okay. So he's not from within the company then,
No, not from within.
You don't have to, don't even bother, Adair. I know you have to mention.
It's okay. This is like, I don't know what, he's very photogenic, Kelly Ortberg. Oh my gosh. This man looks like, what is this? He's ageless. He looks like he's CGI.
Yeah, I like his ears.
Yeah, shout out to like, I don't know, shout out to Kelly Ortberg. I don't know why I'm like I didn't expect him to look like that. So shout out to maybe male model Kelly Ortberg, but no shout out to Tesla here.
I love it. What's a rare? What are you saying? All right, I'm looking at Microsoft again. Call them crazy. But I'm looking for this one to curl. Now we're putting in these higher lows. But we will get back from that when we do get back from Neil's lesson of the day.
This guy. Okay, welcome to the lesson of the day. I'm not going to lie. Just now when you guys were talking, when Adair was thirsting over the new... I'm just saying. So I turned to Sean and like, well, this is the guy, and I was calling up a picture because I didn't know what we were talking about. Calling him ageless.
Another one.
What?
Another one.
What? I don't know. Whatever. I'm just saying. I'm I'm not judging anything. I'm just saying like that's what was happening. So I was just trying to pull up the picture for Sean, and then you could throw it to me for the lesson of the day. When we're in the middle of that, where we're just sort of talking about Kelly Ortberg. You know what? I'm actually going to talk about Boeing, believe it or not, in the lesson of the day. Why? Things don't always start as they finish. And just because an initial reaction is overwhelmingly in one direction, you still have to pay attention to when the money gets to digest everything and then come right back in en masse. And there's a couple of examples I want to use for that. One, aftermarket earnings reactions. We always talk about don't overestimate what happens from 4 to 4:30 if something different happens when the real volume comes in at 9:30 in the morning. And the perfect example of this, I think, might be Meta. You could probably talk about Microsoft with this, but a lot of things went down on sympathy when Microsoft went to the downside and had that big flush. Meta, not any different from the others. You have a $20-something drop here from top to bottom where we closed down to the lows overnight in Meta. Now, a lot of times you'd say, well, if the reaction to Microsoft earnings is poor, they report after market, why wouldn't you just go back and short this price? On flash news, if that had been the same day in the real market, maybe you want a scalp trade off of it. But this is the pre-market, not even the open, where at 8:30 we get an economic number. Not only are we holding on to those gains, or Meta's holding on to those gains, it's breaking out the top on the number. Then it's holding higher at the open. Then it's rejecting the higher low at the open and breaking out the top, which is all to say when it gets to the high, you're like, well, if everything was supposed to be red based on Microsoft earnings, then it gets the resistance, go ahead and short it. No. At that point, it's telling you it's bucking the trend. And oftentimes, you just get that one sentiment, okay, it's bad news, we're just supposed to be shorting the stock. This is the most obvious example of that. Boeing, Kelly Ortberg notwithstanding, regardless of how we feel about it, but maybe the market's thirsting about this change as well. Because they came out in the middle of the day, this is the volume spike at about 1050. Bigger than, or at least as big as the opening volume spike. So huge volume move. Cash burn in Q3 is going to be more rapid, and for the rest of the year. So higher than anticipated or faster than anticipated cash burn. I don't think there's no one out there is going to tell you that's a positive piece of news. So we're not surprised that the stock reacts by breaking down. On top of that, let's throw a few things out here for Boeing. It's at resistance on the daily. 1, 2, 3, 4 times it tests 194 and rejects. It tests it in the pre-market after the economic number and rejects. Higher low, 1, 2, twice it puts in a lower high, looking like it might be trending down after that rejection on the daily chart. Then you get negative news, breaking the lows. It consolidates lower, and what does it do? It ramps up higher. And then the next pullback goes right into resistance, puts in a higher low. At this point, you've just got to accept, hey, it doesn't matter what you think of the news. It's clearly bad. It was even under a resistance level. But when the market settled down on this, they bought it back up, and then they bought it at a higher price. So when it comes back to retest that high, it's in an upward trend. Accept it. The initial move doesn't always have to be gospel or the direction of the quote-unquote story or the earnings, whatever it happens to be. So a lot of times we'll wrap ourselves up in this moment like, okay, CrowdStrike could only be a short because of what happened with the outage. I get it. And it's mostly trending to the downside. But if you remember that first day when it gapped down, it was bounces. It was a bounce in the pre-market, and then it was a higher low at the open, and it trended up for the entirety of the morning until noon. And that's just what it was. And if you were looking to fade it all the way down there, you were just getting your face ripped off. You've got to be able to listen to price action. I'm not telling you that in a situation like CrowdStrike, you had to buy the dip, or in a situation like Boeing, you had to go pick up a long. But what you can do is not fight the price action in that situation. You don't have to say Meta absolutely flunked in the aftermarket. It's going to be a short today. You don't have to go long. You just have to get out of the way of the short when it's trending up. And a lot of times we will anchor ourselves not just to price action, but to a direction on a stock based on news, based on our own interpretations of an earnings report, based on the fact that some random person gave it an upgrade or a downgrade. They don't have to move in that way. Price never lies. Stock's going to go where the buyers and sellers determine it, not what a couple of words printed digitally are going to tell you. So don't get wrapped up and anchored into what should happen based on a reaction on earnings, based on an initial move on news. If it confirms it with price action, great. You have more confluence, you have more reason to like the trade. But your lesson of the day is do not fight the tape. Even if it doesn't make sense to you based on an earnings play, based on what an analyst says, it doesn't matter. It's going to go where it's going to go. And all your job is to not be in its way when it runs over and try to join that trend. So that's your lesson of the day. And good luck going into the Fed. And maybe Boeing is going to break out. They seem to like Mr. Ortberg.
I know a couple other people who like him too. I told her there may or may not be pictures of him on her screen tomorrow, you know, like when she comes into work. Well, she comes in before me, but I might weasel. I told her it's going to be a running gag on the desk, because she knows. So shout out to Dara. Wicked sport, obviously. Always. I don't know who that is.
Oh my gosh, he kind of does. Okay, I'll find them next to each other.
Okay. The Genslinger. Who's he? Gary Gensler's cousin? Who's Genslinger?
So this is Justin Long.
Oh, I know this guy. He's a good actor.
Yeah, he's a really good actor.
He's in a bunch of movies.
And this is...
But isn't the other guy blonde?
Yeah, he is blonde, but I think Ramin means the face. I think she... Oh, okay. The face and the smile?
Yeah.
I see what you mean. I do. I see the resemblance.
Yeah. I got to agree with that. Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. Well, enjoy. And back to trading. All right. AMD's breaking through the 10 exponential on the 5, and it's the first time it's done that since it took a big boy tank. Shout out to Big Spile Burdette, who called AMD the Kmart of chips. By the way, I don't know what that means, but Big Spile's got opinions, and he's going to let you know. So I'm watching right now. I was looking for a 146 or a high 145s retracement to the 20 period on the 5, the 20 EMA on the 5-minute chart. It hasn't made its way yet. It's above 145. It's doing the dance right now with the $0.25. A little bit of selling coming in here. The reason I'm not getting in because we're above the 10 exponential, but below the 20. So we either need to reject the 10 exponential using a topping tail candle and then come down and I'll get short, or we got to make our way into the 20. Neither which has happened at the moment. So I'm packing my patience. Here's what I'm looking at the actual side chart over here. This is the 10 exponential. Goes, this candle closed above it. Watch out for this one to break 145.40. That would be a new high. So for the moment, a couple of green candles here. We'll see if this is just a quick breach of the 10 exponential, and then we're going to move back down, or we're going to get a little deeper, maybe weasel our way up into that 20. If we do, that'll give us a better price. So unsure exactly how this one goes down. So packing my patience here, looking to get short on AMD. The Katina Man's been printing up a storm on AMD to the short side today with a 4-banger or so. So shout out to him. By the way, the Katina Man's out. He's punched out at 145. So he's done his trade right now on AMD in case you're following his trade. $4 in the money. The bull's on the floor, Katina Man. Christopher Holcomb, don't like to name drop, but Justin Long is a buddy of mine. Bam!
Your buddy is very talented. Shout out to Justin Long.
big smile just messaged me with respect to Kmart. Ram is telling me to tell everybody, oh, here we go. AMD's coming down.
I'm never going to live down this Kelly nonsense.
See, this is why we talk about other things, and then I lose my trade on AMD. This is on the way down. Dang it. Nice move here on the AMD one. Down a little bit. Well, let's see if this candle closes red. Big Spile says Kmart. Okay, I can't read that. Big Spile. Come on, you know that. There's words that cannot be said on said show. So I'm keeping my eye on AMD here, Adara, because it looks like I missed my short for the moment. Let's see. Yeah, it's continuing to come down. This sucks. Anyway, what are you looking at?
Yeah, I mean, you totally called the levels on that because I was looking for a bounce at 145, but you definitely had the right look on AMD there. Let's take a look, though. Shout out to... sorry, my brain turned off there. Shout out to Darwin saying that Oracle has some news. Okay, they announced the expansion of their AI partnership with NVIDIA. I found this. So this being reported by Venture Beat, they're expanding their partnership with NVIDIA for AI, digital twins, and more. New OCI compute instances accelerated by the NVIDIA GPU is now available to order. So if you're thinking, hey, NVIDIA, that name, doesn't have enough catalysts. We need more. Well, we've got a catalyst for NVIDIA, but mostly just for ORCL. Let's take a look at ORCL here. I'm going to let my Amazon order chill here in case it would like to let me get involved there. But ORCL here, Oracle, let's see if we can see the future for Oracle. Oh, okay, this is beautiful. Also, Oracle's response to this was kind of chilled. This was nowhere near our largest volume candle of the day, though it was a bit of a spike. But look what I see here. I see a really fascinating motion here around this 139.45 area, 139.50. Why? Well, look at that little baby support we had earlier. Then we come back up, we bounce off the 90 MA. Or so we think.
Oh.
And we get that news, we push up higher, but we get a topping tail candle. I don't want to short Oracle on good news. This thing is kind of in a downtrend that we had, I would say, a pretty discernible double top around 140, 140. And we're at this 90 MA. I think if we break below this could be a short. Not one that I have plans for, though, so I'm going to avoid trading it. But as I wait for Amazon to almost definitely not fill me, let's talk about Tesla. So I had this trade, and I literally, as I took it, I said to Sharif, I was like, this is for you, Kelly Ortberg, as a joke, because you gotta laugh at stuff. So I would like to discuss why I went short Tesla as it was in an uptrend. So I know my original short in Tesla was iffy, but I was thinking about this. I was in the bathroom and I was like, why did that short go badly? I had conviction, that's fine. But I also knew the range. So the second we bounced off 70s, like, Adara, run. Why are you adding here, right? So that was an L. The management of it was also a bit of an L. But then we come back to TSLA, and I see us break below that 231.60s here. I liked what we did in the book. I said, you're not going to get very much, Adara, on this, but take more size and scalp it to the high heavens. I took more size in this Tesla trade than I've taken on any Tesla trade, I think, in quite a while. Took the size. I only took like 15 pennies, but it ended up working. It took 15 pennies on, I want to say, 40% of it. So got involved 59s, got out 44s. Then I saved a piece for the dream, but I saw higher lows in the book, got the rest out 48s. Then we bounced. We have not seen that level since, so I'm really proud of how I read the book on this one.
Nice.
Got to give yourself a small pat in the back. Shout out to you, Kelly O. Hope you're, I'm going to make jokes about it now because it's kind of funny. But I also want to shout out this comment here from Oh my gosh, who was this comment? There was a thing I was laughing at here, and it was from Nimit. This was a good break and some good fun. Thanks for keeping it light. Also, what we're stressing on the trade. Appreciate it. Appreciate you guys. I mean, we have a good time here. I take trading very seriously. Sharif and I were always talking about stocks off screen as well.
Oh, yeah.
But we also, you got to have fun. You got to laugh because we're trying to make a show. We're trying to be entertaining. Also, live trading by Trader TV Live / Ramin has some strong words for Ram D in the chat, saying there's only one Ram, and it's me. Because I guess he was like, why do you guys keep saying my name twice? And Ramin was like, I am Ram. So shout out to Ram G and our very own Ram. What are you looking at?
I'm looking at AMD, Adara, because it's continuing to come down over here. I'm looking at the half dollar because we did have a bit of a top there at the half dollar over here. Here comes the half dollar, and there goes the half dollar. Wasn't looking to punch along on this downtrend. It's been weakness after weakness after weakness today for AMD, despite the fact that they beat quite well. But I got to tell you, their revenue, the dollar amount of revenue kind of surprised me, especially when you see the comparator to NVIDIA. It's like a quarter of the size, right? And I'm not surprised about that because NVIDIA is basically dominating all of TSMC's supply. I don't know what kind of deal he struck, Jensen, with TSMC, but he's like, anything that they can take or the output, he's taking the lion's share of it. Whatever's left, is going to be for AMD, AVGO. I don't even know if AVGO uses TSMC, but that was really interesting to see there because I was delving a little bit into their earnings and just comparing it with NVIDIA's last earnings, and it was just night and day. Anyway,
that's interesting.
Yeah, it was quite interesting. Here we go, coming back down into 144. We'll see if we get a nice, area defend 144. I don't really want to go long on this stock. It's been nothing but red since the bell rung, despite the fact that it's still up 4 1/4. But here comes 144. And definitely we're still above yesterday's closing print. We broke 140 yesterday, so a bit of a tougher look there. What's going on there, Katina Man? The Katina Man got out at 145. He could have printed another $1, but I think a 4-banger will suffice there, Katina Man. Shout out to you. You're always angry as a trader. Integrity, yeah, of course. You're like we always say, it's a bit of a tougher thing to be a trader because you're never really going to get the top or the bottom, and if you do, you didn't have enough size, right? So you're always a little.
You never have
there,
enough, yeah.
Right. Anyway, let's look at the side charts over here. We just got another dip into that general 144 area for AMD. We dipped into 13s, lucky number 13, and then we find a bit of support. Let me bring down the ticker on this so you guys can see it a bit better. There we go. So 144 holding for now. Upstart at the 20 exponential yet again. That's a second retracement that makes it down into the 20 exponential. Do we hold the 20 exponential twice in a row here? That's not something that I usually trade. Like, you're not going to see me take a second 20 exponential dip by with 2 successive retracements in a row. So that's an interesting look. Boeing right back into that 194, looking for a flat top break. It was consolidating at that 193 3/4, 2/3 generally, and then we just got a touch at 194. We were above there in the pre. We got into that $0.50 on the pre there when they reported earnings at around 745, but that was as good as we could do. So the pre-market high hanging out at 194.5. Right now, the high a day in regular market hours is 194. So keep that in mind. All right, AVGO, we've got this one up too because it's moving bigly here in sympathy, and it's now at the 20 exponential yet again. Now, it dipped here into the 20 exponential and got bought up. I'm not really liking these multiple 20 exponential touches on a lot of these names. You'd like to see a 20 exponential touch every once in a while, and then the majority of the touches bounce off the 10. At least that's, for what I'm looking for, but that's not really happening with these ones. These guys are retracing back down again. So, Adara, did you see there's someone made a Kelly Ortberg thing?
Did they actually?
Of course.
Oh
there's a Yannick
God.
sweater. There's a Sharif's mom.
Sweater.
There's a bunch of other ones.
That's
so,
pretty funny.
yeah, you knew you were going to get that.
Thank you, though, Kelly Ortberg. I do appreciate your comments there. I do appreciate you.
Did you see CrowdStrike?
Oh, I did. I saw that. I was so sad I didn't get that. I should have been looking at 232. Oh, that was beautiful and
CrowdStrike just dumped Adara. There we go. Breaking through that IB low that we printed at 930 at 231 and like 80, something like that. There we go. 230 on the way down. Keep your eye out if we make it down here. I'm not saying we're going to make it down into 226, but that's where we held up yesterday. We have a bunch of different area troughs from yesterday that we can also use as areas of support. Look at that double bottom at 230. We're only about 74 pennies away from that level, given the low of day. So 230 could be an interesting area to take a bit of a dip by. There's also this area trough over here from yesterday at around 2 o'clock. At 228.5, and then ultimate low yesterday obviously was at 226.5, 226 and change. So CrowdStrike taking a bit of a dip. What's going on now?
Put hashtag Kadera in the chat.
What does that mean?
Well, I guess me and Kelly.
Oh.
But also, yes, in all seriousness, so thank you so much to the kind words from Kelly Ortberg in the chat. I do really appreciate your comment saying, proud of my confidence today. Let's go Boeing.
Bang.
Indeed, let's go Boeing. Let's go BA. And thank you to you, Kelly Ortberg, in the chat, and everybody else in this community. As Big Spal Burnett just said there, the chat is undefeated. But you know what is slightly defeated? My Tesla. No, I'm joking. We're basically flat on this. This Tesla, though, I'm seeing lower highs. I like that we were bouncing off 60s. On the book, I am seeing higher lows, but on the chart, I'm seeing slightly lower low. Basically, what I'm seeing is just Tesla's chopping and turning. So at this point, I kind of don't really want to be in this Cybertruck as it continues to kind of drive on and off. A little bit of off-roading happening here in Tesla, I'll put it that way. Doesn't really know if it would like to take the road, if it would like to take a weird side street. I'm like, Tesla, you got to pick a lane, quite literally, so I know what direction to take. We're still bouncing here off 30s. Like I said, 30s is my really hard line in the sand for TSLA. I get not as much as I took with that short because I felt really good about that 230-160 short. Took a little bit less here in the long, but still enough that I have room to piece out. I'm still interested in piecing out, but I will have to, instead of taking pieces out, I will have to piece out of the trade if we can't hold this 230-130s area. This is getting a skosh dicey in Tesla. Also, Amazon, I was like all heartbroken. I was like, oh, I'm not going to be able to get my Amazon short because it flat bottom broke. Yeah, and then Amazon wants to continue to make lower highs, lower lows. I don't love these bottoming tail candles. I initially wanted 70s on Amazon. If we get to 60s and we reject, I'll take it short there. I have no qualms. But I think until I get involved in anything there, I'm going to have to get out of this Tesla. I'll take it. Profit or loss here. I just want to see what we do at this 231.30s. And the reason I haven't gotten out yet, even though I was tempted to when we broke below 40s, is because that wasn't the plan for the trade. I was taking a bit of a different trade. I owe it to myself to try. That being said, if we keep rejecting 40s here on the book, I'll have to get out. The bamboozlement on Tesla is for reals, but it's all good there. You got to have your confidence. If you believe in your levels, if you believe in the trade, you've got to go for it. Got to see what you could do here. Amazon trying to make a bit of a higher high, so probably not going to be a short there for me. Let's see how short-lived this Tesla trade is, though. Now, Trader Leah, I'm laughing at your comment there. BuzzFeed articles about CEO attractiveness. Yeah, no. Yeah, honestly, I'm happy everyone can laugh at the whole Kelly Ortberg thing. I was saying to Sharif off camera, Sharif did agree with me. He is weirdly ageless looking. That was all I was trying to say. Tesla got near 30s in a way I didn't like. I got out, so I did take a 30-penny hit on TSLA. Should have scalped out of this one earlier, but woulda, coulda, and shoulda. This is not like I haven't been looking at the P&L, but I know this is not my best P&L day, but I feel like I've learned a lot today, and sometimes that's what matters. I know that's really cheesy. I know that's cliched. I know that's trite, but sometimes you got to go with that. Also, you have not one but two positions here.
Yeah, I just have to put in my stops, so just allow me a second.
Yeah, I'll keep talking. Also, because I saw one thing in the comments as well about, like at one point, neither of us were in positions. And I think one thing, too, is every trader is different. I take a lot of scalps, so you'll see me in and out of stuff very quickly. And Sharif will have a lot of these breakout trades. Like some of the trades we're going to be taking, they're not necessarily going to be these sustained, beautiful moves. Shout out to Sean and his $5 winners on AMD. Some of us you have to have your own style and you have to trade with that. So if we're not always in positions, that doesn't mean there aren't trades in the works, trades on the mind. So I just want to shout out that comment because, everyone's going to have their own strategy and their own approach to the market.
The market, absolutely. So we're printing here on UPST, looking for that 29 break. This was a higher low and a 20 exponential hold on the 5. That was my precipice for getting into this trade. I'm still holding a little bit. And in another trade right now on AVGO, AVGO, this is Broadcom looking for another 20 exponential hold. They both retrace into the 20. We're going to see what we get, and we will not get upset. But this one I have a little bit less faith in because of it's up in sympathy 10%. I mean, bruh, leave the 10% for the actual main mover, not the sympathy play. But here I am trading it, so I'm crazy. We're long at 17s. It's not printing much right now. 25 is not a whole lot to talk about. UPST, though, I am worried about this $29 level. And let me give you the reasons why. Because we did a whole lot of consolidation in and around 29 to 29.10. We rejected, dropped down into that 2/3, $0.50, rocketed back up, got to 29 1/3, and now we're right back below 29 again. So I feel like this $29 level has been an elusive one to hold on to for Upstart, at least for the moment. So I'm going to adjust my stop on said Upstart to move it up just a skosh. So we're going to look on the side chart over here. We're going to cancel that order, and we're going to put the, below 70. So we're going to go 28, and we're going to sit at 69s, and then we'll look to cover everything there. So there, the stop is in place. Let's now have a look at AVGO, because this is zigging and zagging, and it's barely holding on to 157. And here we go. It looks like I will get, oh, I was just about to get stopped out. Then the bid came in quick as you like, but it's down again. So a lot of indecision right now at these levels, especially on AVGO, maybe not so much Upstart. I'm gonna have to pack my patience with this. We're long 17s. We're about 10 pennies out of the money. I'm looking at wetting my beak in the mid 40s. So we're gonna have to wait to see if it can, number one, hold 157. If it doesn't, then does it hold this 156.50? There's all sorts of price action there. Support, formerly resistance. We were rejecting 156.50 on our way up. We then cleared it, came back, used it as support, but that wasn't my trade. My trade was not getting in at 156.50. My trade was getting in on a 20 exponential pullback. So it's fantastic that 156.50 is holding up on the day. It doesn't help me a whole lot here because I'll get stopped out if we break through the low over here. So that's my look. I will look to get back in possibly if I get stopped out at 156.50 if it does hold the bid there. It's a big if. So I'll have to see. Right now it's having all sorts of trouble really clearing 157. It's getting bought at the 157 area. You just got to ask yourself for how long. Down goes Upstart again, right near my entry. So now I'm 1 penny out of the money on this one, but I'm holding very small size. This is not the right trade for me. I'm out of that one, but it's a winner. So we'll keep tabs on now AVGO as this one still holding that 157 area, Adair.
Yeah, I mean, I am here in Starbucks. I want to talk about it. Now, I said I've been trying to trade less names, but sometimes you see a setup, and it looked a little bit rangier in the 3 minutes. So I'll pull up the 3 minutes. I audibly gasped. I was like, oh, when I saw this. Look at this little range on Starbucks. Look how cute this little range is. Oh, I love it. So I tried to look at this. We're at 79.20s. I missed that entry point. I was like, oh, let's wait and see. It nukes a little bit, but I'm okay with getting in where I got in here at, oh, RIP my chart, at 79. 10s, and I want to explain why I did that. I took a bit of a larger size here because I have plans for this trade, and I'm willing to risk more to make more because I feel good about this trade or about this idea. We'll see again. We'll see if that lasts. But if you have confidence, if you have confidence in something, you've got to execute accordingly. So I started here at 79.10s because I was like, you couldn't get 79.20s, and I don't want to chase here either, but look at this beautiful topping tail candle here at the 9 EMA. I love this. I'm willing to add at 20s. I'm also willing to add at 30s. Actually, no, okay, I might have to change this plan because my initial plan was to get out if we broke above 40s, but that was when I thought I was going to get in at 20s. We didn't do that, so I'm still adding it at 20s, but I'm going to have to decide if I get out at 30s and 40s just based on the plan for the trade because I did forget that was a bit of a different look there. So yeah, 30s will be my line in the sand to use a Sharifism. I'm not going to add any more shares here. Depending on what we do at 20s, like I said, we'll see at 30s, but let's see what happens here. I'm trying to get out 40% of the position at just below 79s because that was that previous low. Let's see if we continue to make lower highs and lower lows in Starbucks. Amazon doing something similar. I know I said I'd hop in the short, but the reason I didn't was because unlike Starbucks having a pretty harsh rejection there of that 9 EMA, Amazon kind of tried to wick above before quadunking. And we had those two massive bottoming tail candles. Amazon, I kind of see as a potential long reversal here. That is an opinion I may walk back on. It may prove me wrong, but I like what we're doing here at 40s. I like that we have these higher lows. I'm not going to get involved till I see distinctive change in the tides. But for now, okay, Amazon's going to make me regret not getting long here. I might start a really small long position Amazon, then add if we get to 60s. You know what that is? What I'm going to do. We're going to start here at 45s. If we break below this 30s area, I'm going to get out. So we're seeing like 15 pennies. I'm okay with that. Let's see what we do here on AMZN. Literally the smallest amount of shares you could have. I believe in the idea, but not enough to put full throttle into it yet. Starbucks I feel better about. And Tesla now going back to rejecting 231.30s. So many things. I wish you could trade everything you see. You can't, but you got to take advantage of the opportunities you see in like, let's go market, but also let's go learning, because we like learning over here.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about measuring gaps. You can measure P&L, measure your success. You can also measure gaps.
Hey, I like that segue. All right, guys, we're talking about measuring gaps today. We're talking about gaps for the rest of the week. We've been talking about them for the last couple of weeks. So traders, we're focusing on a fundamental aspect of technical analysis known as measuring gaps. Now, again, like I prefaced the lesson first time around, I want to let you know that measuring gaps is actually a synonym for continuation, for runaway gaps, the gaps that we talked about yesterday. That is not what we're using today. That's not what we mean. We're actually talking about measuring the gap, not an actual type of gap, but measuring different types of gaps. So understanding the size and the significance of gaps can provide valuable insights into the market dynamics. So let's get right to it, baby. Why would we want to measure gaps? What does it show us? Well, measuring gaps can help us, number one, compare gap size. You can determine if a gap that you're seeing on a chart is relatively small or large compared to historical gaps on that specific instrument. You're also looking at the predictive potential of the price movements. The size of a gap can give us clues about the potential magnitude of the subsequent price move. And it also helps you identify significant areas on the gap. So large gaps often indicate significant market events or shifts in sentiment amongst investors. So it's good to be aware of these type of things. So how do you measure gaps? All right, now we know that they're important. Measuring them is important. How do we do it, though? So while there's no standardized method to measuring gaps, here are some common approaches. I'm going to submit to you 3 different approaches. The first one is going to be a simple price difference. Here, all you're doing is you're calculating the difference between the closing price yesterday and the opening price today. You're going to calculate the actual dollar value. And that's going to be how you measure it. That's the most straightforward approach, but it's not the best in my humble opinion. Percentage change is the next one there. You can calculate the percentage difference between the closing print yesterday and the opening print this morning. And to me, that is a bit better of an approach. Why? Because if I gap up $5 when I'm a $5 stock and I gap up to $10, well, I'm basically doubling my value. But it's not obviously the same if I gap up from $4.50 to $4.55. I'm only gapping up by $5, and that's much less of a move percentage-wise. So I think the percentage one takes a bit of a better approach. And last but not least, the best one for market volatility to compare, different times of the market to each other, you can use ATR, average true range. In this basic approach, you are dividing the gap size by the ATR to determine how many ATRs, that's a word, the gap represents. And this method provides a standardized measure of gap size relative to market volatility. And the reason this is important, think about this. If you're basically looking at a gap during a consolidative period, something that we were very sideways for a very long time, and you gap up $5, all right, during that consolidative period, would you consider that to be as bullish or less bullish than a trending market where you gap up $5? I personally think the $5 gap on a $450 name, for example, during consolidated market would be more bullish because you're very consolidative. There isn't that much buying pressure. When you're trending up or down, there's already buying pressure. So you should have a bit of a larger gap, a bit of a larger ATR during the trending market. So just keep that in mind about what kind of market you're doing the measuring in, consolidative or trending. All right, so how do we use these measurements? Now we know how to measure or what methods work for measuring, but how do we use the measurements to our advantage? So I'm going to submit to you 3 different ways. We're going to talk about them right now just very succinctly, and then we're going to delve deeper into every one. The first is identifying potential support and resistance levels, right? So this is what you're going to use the measuring for. Gaps can create new support or resistance levels, so you want to be able to use the measuring to be able to gauge those. You can also estimate potential price targets. Some traders use gap measurement to estimate potential price targets for continuations or reversal patterns. And you can compare gaps by comparing the size of the current gap to historical gaps. You're able to assess its significance. Let's start with the first one, identifying potential support and resistance levels, and basically describe how we can do that. So gaps can create new support and resistance levels in and of themselves. To identify these, first, look at the gap fill attempt. If the price retraces to fill a portion of the gap, the area where the price stalls can become a new support or resistance level. For example, if we broke out from, say, $400 and the gap was to $450, we retraced down to $425. I would have been looking at $400 as that area of support. But guess what? The gap didn't fill all the way down. It stopped at $425. So now I'm looking at $425 as a possible level of support to come back into and hold if we really clear that level. So that's one thing. The gap size is also another here. Larger gaps are more likely to create significant support or resistance levels. So if it's a small gap, you know you should look at it with maybe some suspicion, some caution. But if it's a big boy gap, well, then it's likely going to be a bit more of a significant support or resistance level. And volume confirmation here, always important no matter what. Increased volume during the gap fill can strengthen the potential support or resistance level. So you always keep an eye on volume to make sure you know it's not an anemic buy. Now, the second approach is estimating potential price targets. Another reason we measure gaps is to estimate potential price targets. While not foolproof, gap measurements can be used to estimate price targets. First and foremost, you can use the measured move, right? So we did an entire week on this measured move. Go to the YouTube homepage, go to Trader TV, our homepage on YouTube, and use the search function and type in measured move. You'll get 5 lessons from Adair and I on the week that we did it. So for breakaway gaps, some traders use the gap size as a measure of a potential price move. That's what the measured move is. You could also use your fibs. Where my fib head's at, Fibonacci extensions. You can apply Fibonacci extensions to the gap to identify potential price targets. So we did this in Elliott waves. Remember we talked about wave 1? And the comparator of wave 1 to wave 3, we said wave 3 typically is 1.618 times the length of wave 1. So fibs are not just good for pullbacks or retracements and to gauge where price may bounce off, but they're actually good to project price movements as well if you know the ratio you're looking for. So fibs could be quite telling here. And trend-based targets. You want to combine these gap measurements with trend lines, with moving averages, things that appear on the chart that could act as areas of support and resistance. You want to make sure it's jiving with that as well. Last but not least, we use the measurement of gaps to make gap comparisons, right? So comparing gaps helps assess their significance and their potential impact. For example, gap size comparison, you compare the current gap to the historical gaps to determine if it's unusually large or unusually small. How does it fit in? How does it measure up to those previous gap sizes? And it's also indicative of market conditions. You have to consider market conditions when comparing gaps. Why? I just prefaced that. Consolidative markets will likely have less of a gap than these trending markets, even though it's the same instrument and the same news catalyst. You need to know what kind of trading environment you're in, so it behooves you to look at the indexes, look at your actual instrument itself, see if it's trending, if it's consolidative, what the situation is. Last but not least, a gap fill speed here could be quite telling. How quickly a gap gets filled can be indicative of its significance. Gaps that get filled rapidly typically are less significant, and their prices or support and resistance that they create should be looked at with a healthy dose of skepticism. I'll leave you with a little bonus tip. Combine these gap measurements with other technical analysis tools like RSI, like MACD, like some others we've talked about, oscillators, trend lines, whatever, for more accurate assessments, Adara, of these market conditions.
Yeah, I mean, like, who wouldn't want to more accurately assess
I'd want one.
Right? I love that. So shout out there. Thank you so much to Sharif for putting together those lessons every day. Teamwork does make the dream work. So happy to be on this here desk with everybody in the chat and in person. And also thank you to Pimpy Long Stalking. Okay, you know what? It's also Long Stonking. Oh my gosh, it's a double.
Double entendre.
Double entendre, double pun there. Thank you, Pimpy Long Stalking for the 199 super chat. Sava up over 100% since the firing drama. Let's take a look at Sava. But also, I saw this comment from Fiddleback. We need an entire lesson on packing your patience. I agree. I need an entire lesson on packing my your patience. So I relate to that. Yeah, Sava today alone up here like 19%. If I remember correctly, I think Cassava has a decent short float. Oh, Sava. Beautiful look. Bouncing off the 90 MA, bouncing off VWAP. Just gorgeous there for SAVA. Let's take a look at the daily chart. And thank you for reminding us about this one, Pimpy, because I feel like I only think of it. I had to call it by the name.
It's great, Adara. I mean, I got no beef.
Oh, double bottom. Yes.
Where's that? Sava.
Yeah, this is a gorgeous double bottom here. Wow. At this $9.80 level. Gorgeous look here for SAVA. I feel like this is one of those ones we only hear about, as alluded to in the super chat, when there's bad news. There's drama, as Pimpy referred to it, and then the stock falls, and then we hear about it the next time there's more dramas. But wow, there's no drama in the stock price. If you got long that 980 double bottom, this is a gorgeous look here. Higher highs and higher lows off the 90 MA. Trying to push higher here. Trying to think if there's any levels of resistance I'd be aware of. You know what? Actually, again, you don't want to find levels where there aren't any, but that 22.5 level I find kind of interesting because we've had a couple kind of pokes into this area on the daily level, daily chart. Also, this 26.5 was another level that we've kind of had a top of a couple times, haven't been able to eclipse. So keep an eye on SAVA with that in mind. Also, I have some trades to yap about, if I may, as well. I was involved in Amazon. Well, I'm still involved in Amazon, but I want to talk about this. Adara, why are you continually longing Amazon while it's in a downtrend? I am, and my thing with Amazon is I feel like they're, and to be clear, this would have been fine had I stayed involved at 45s. I took a smaller position when I got involved there at 45s, as I said, because the downtrend, like the balance of the evidence was a little bit shaky, but I believed in what I saw in the book. I risked 15 pennies. I said I'd get long if we bounced off 60s. We didn't bounce off 60s. We got to 60s and rejected. Should have gotten out there, but didn't. Lost 15 pennies on this small position. But then I come and see we're bouncing off the 90 MA, that same level I liked, the level we were rejecting off earlier. So I got long. Right now we're almost 20 pennies in the money on AMZN. I am taking out half La Position if we get to 86.30s here, 86.83s. So we're getting pretty close, AMZN. This is the second time we've kissed my level, brushed the shoulder with this level, and then gotten out. So, you know, if you're not going to give me 80s, that's fine. I'll take 79s, Amazon. I'm not that picky. I'll take what profit I can get. I am also not the best at packing my patience, which is why I want to shout out what Fiddleback had to say about that. Man, if there's a way to learn, for us all to learn how to pack our patience, I would love that. But yeah, Amazon, I'm willing to add if we keep seeing higher highs, higher lows. If we break below this kind of 40s area of that bottom, I'm getting out, but I'm willing to risk a little bit more because I want more and I want all the smoke. Will Amazon give me all the smoke? That's an entirely different story. But Starbucks right now giving me a couple, not any profits to sip on, but happy I was able to get my ad. Like I said, this is a planned edition here at 20s. If we broke decisively above that 30 area, I was going to get out. We have not, so I have not. But if we keep seeing higher lows, I'm not going to love that. I want to see continuous VWAP projections. This is a bit of a larger position at SPUX, but I do feel good about that continued downtrend. Though, as I said, this bounce is kind of making me question my life a little bit here, but I have no reason to leave, so I will not be leaving for the time being. I also took a bit of a rinse here on this Tesla scalp while we were happening here as well. This is a case where I missed my fill by pennies. I hate that. Right? I was trying to get out here at 30s, right? I was watching, we were below 30s, had the scalp ready, was ready to get out 230.95s, because every other time here we've gotten well below 31. So I said, Adara, don't give it 31.01s, give it 30.95s. We get to 30.98s. And then we pushed back higher. We got above 30s, I was out. Or we got above 231.30, so I was out. So I managed this one appropriately. But, you know, you're always going to be a little bit miffed, especially when you come that close to touching the level and it comes back down. 2 NY cents saying, yes, bid in Amazon at 182. Let's go. I mean, almost $5 in the money for you there. 2 New York cents. So shout out to you. Getting more than 2 New York cents on this trade. That is for darn sure. Express delivery, some profits. Amazon, if you would love to get my piece for the dream out here, that'd be great. Because right now I am just dreaming of Amazon letting me take part of this position out here. I like AMD long too, says a Google user. I like that. So let's take a look here at AMD. Also want to shout out Quantran. And in trading and in life, if you don't have a plan, you'll panic. I agree with that to some extent, but I also think one thing worth noting is sometimes your plan can be adaptable. Sometimes things can happen and you see things that change. And I think that's true for life too. Like, who knows? I would not say a year ago, I would not think I'd be here, right? So I think sometimes you can have a plan in life, but that plan can take little divots. And I think the same with trading, though. you know, have a plan in Starbucks, don't know if that plan's going to work out. So I think sometimes too, having a plan is great. It helps you not panic, but having a plan isn't guaranteed either. So some food for thought. But I want to shout out that comment from Quantran for making me think. So that's what I've got going on here. AMD, to go back to AMD here. Yeah, we're trying to, bit of a double bottom here, around 144s at AMD. So shout out to you, a Google user. Yeah, sorry guys, I'm excited, but I mean, I think this market is so exciting that it gets me hype. Every time I try to like keep my voice calm, then a thing moves and I go. So, yeah, what are you looking at?
I'm trading AVGO. We were able to wet our beak on some profits. It's coming back a little bit now. I think my stop placement on this has to be a little bit better because, yeah, we were long obviously here, had the right idea. It made a higher low, but yeah, we got stopped out. So trying to pack my patience on this one, already wet my beak for a nice 20-penny winner. Trying to get a little bit more over here as it weasels its way back up into the 60s. I'm sitting here in mid-80s looking for a fill. We'll see if we get that. Chips have been strong, obviously. NVIDIA leading the way in chip world. Who's surprised about that? 10.8% in the clear as it continues to move up. It's dancing with 115 right now. Here is the look on NVIDIA. Obviously, it was a little bit higher today with the high day being that 116.5. Coming off a little bit right now, though. Is NVDA still well above the volume weighted average price, but you got a bit of a death cross there between the 10 and the 20. Make of that what you will. They haven't been crossing since well earlier in the day. Yeah, that was around 6 a.m. First time they're crossing to the downside right now. So, yeah, AMD and NVIDIA, they're all in play. They're all in play on the day. I was just looking at AMD, actually, funny enough, because it has 2 rejections now off the 20 exponential. Now, this one was a little shallower in its ascent, and I was trying to get in short here and missed that. This one, though, was a bit more along my lines. I would have probably front run the 20 exponential by a little bit there, such as my move, I guess. And this one I probably would have get filled on, but it wasn't as big of a down move on that particular one. So we'll keep tabs on AMD, AVGO. I mean, I think they're all in play today. Everything is really moving up a storm today in chip world. So we're still long on AVGO. We're printing mid-60s. I'm sitting here waiting mid-80s. We'll see what we get there. Pretty Panda waiting for a 204 break on Tilray. Shout out to Pretty Panda, who's trading TLRY. Look, I got to tell you, last time Tilray made big boy moves, it had something to do with Kamala Harris, okay? At the time, she was the VP running mate for Joe Biden, but it moved big on her debate or during her debate or as a result of her debate with Mike Pence. And I would say, obviously, I don't know if Donald Trump and Kamala Harris are going to debate or not, but look out for possible legalization comments from Kamala Harris. Unlikely to come from the Republican side, more likely to come from the Democratic side. This could absolutely make weed skyrocket. So I'm going to be all ears to see if we get any sort of commentary from them during the election about that. All right, into the mid-70s we go here on AVGO, but we're still waiting for mid-80s, so nothing really to report to you guys on that. Boeing continues to make higher dang highs, and now it's up 4 1/3 on the day. Oh, baby, 195. This is going. Can I show the chart, guys? Where the hell did my Boeing go? Oh, maybe that's why you weren't showing it. Remember? Because I didn't have Boeing on there. Yeah. All right, here we go. 195. Let's try to hold above 195 right now. 195.43. It's been very respectful of the 10 exponential on the 5. Let me show you exactly what I mean by that. This is the Boeing chart over here, and you can see that we don't even see the yellow line because it needs to be refreshed. There you go. Now the yellow line is available, but every single dang print, I apologize, has held that 10 exponential. This has been a very good trade for whoever's wanting to get into it. You're getting a lot of zig and zag, though. So many doji candles, but they're continuing to make higher highs and higher lows. So not much you can argue with there in terms of results. So liking that look on BA as, yeah, that Kelly Ortberg lives free in a Adara line at the moment.
He does not. He is just very ageless, and I think whatever his skincare
routine is, I have to come at you with that. Like,
I
you
know
can't
you
expect
did,
it to, you know,
pretty funny.
right? I'm going to find.
Yeah. I get a kick out of it, guys.
It's going to be a running gag for a while. I mean, maybe, yeah, we'll see. We'll see if it stays alive or not. Anyway, packing up my patience here on AVGO. Not much happening right now.
Yeah, best of luck there in Broadcom.
Just got stopped out.
Oh,
nice.
just got.
Well, it's only a little bit anyway.
Okay. Yeah, Amazon coming into the bottom of this area. This is why I always get a little bit more nervous, and I feel like I trade worse when I have hard stop levels on the chart. So maybe that's the thing I should stop doing. But I didn't like the lower highs we were making on the book, so I should have gotten out. But I was like, but Adara, you have to stick to your plan. This is what I mean sometimes when I think plans need to be more flexible. Because for me, I've noticed I make, without question, the worst decisions by far. Like one of the days I think the most recent time I got shut down, I've only been shut down 3 times. The most recent was I was in Tesla. I had a plan for a trade. I knew based on the book that the thing was a hot mess, but I said, but Adara, your plan was to give it $1 to run, give it $1 to run. Yeah, so no, right? So that's what I mean. I have to stop doing this because I'll be like, oh, but the level in the chart, and then I feel like badly for not sticking to my plan. Sometimes you have to plan trades differently. I should have been scalping out the second I saw we were making lower highs in the book. I'm staying in this because we're still above 40s, and I'm not seeing that pushback there on the book. We've been in a bit of a range here for this one, so I want to wait. But in the meantime, okay, actually, no, I don't want to wait anymore. There's no in the meantime. First, we get out of Amazon. Then we look at Starbucks because I am sipping on some profits in that guy. SBUX. Okay, we are about 5 to 6 pennies in the money on Starbucks. This is nothing massive, but this position's a bit larger, so I am really happy with this. Like I said, with Starbucks, I have plans here. We're getting the first part of this position out. If we get down, so it'll be 15 pennies in the money for the first part of this position, and on the average, it's going to be about 18 pennies in the money. So you're going to be pleased as punch with that. Then look at this beautiful support resistance flip-flop. Now that I know how many shares I have, because I did add some, we're going to take out another portion of this position. Should we get to that, where is this, 80s? Yeah, we'll get out 81s. We're gonna take out another, we'll take out that. I'm good with that. Oh, accidentally, okay. Well, I fat fingered a little bit there. That is unfortunate. Oops, good times. You keep learning and growing. I did, to be clear, I still took profit on it, so can't be too upset. How much of this position do I have left? Yeah, okay, I'm good. So I still have 2 more peak waters in the Starbucks, and I'm willing to add once I get some of this position out. But yeah, you got it. Honestly, yeah, like sometimes your plan goes awry. This is the second time today I have fat fingered, so that is not a vibe. But it is what, I can't believe it's already 1 p.m., Sharif.
I know, it's ridiculous.
This is crazy. This has been a pretty exciting day. Like, I feel like it's been a day where I've had reads on levels and I haven't played them appropriately. That's always frustrating. But you know what you're not going to be frustrated on if you're in CrowdStrike long is this CrowdStrike move. That transition worked better in my head. Gorgeous move up here. Look at this bounce at 228.50s. With this little tail here, we push higher. I want to see what we do at 232, though, because 232 was a level I had eyes on yesterday. It was a resistance level yesterday. I know we do have that SSR bounce. I was trying to benefit from that yesterday, so I don't want to step in front of this moving CrowdStrike vehicle, beep, beep. That being said, if I see level of rejection, I'm not going to not take it. I think I'm going to wait to see the shapes up. I'm not bouncing in this right away, but CrowdStrike is something I would like to strike. Chill Vibe saying this might be random, but I got short SPY 550, 77. I don't think it's random at all. You're 30 pennies in the money, and I've been looking at the SPY at that level as well, so I want to shout you out for that trade. That is for sure. Let's take a look at this SPY over her. Oh, this is beautiful. I was looking at 550-50s, but I mean, the thing is too, regardless of what you're looking at, if you're looking at the book, if you're looking at the chart, we're seeing lower highs, lower lows at the SPY, and I love the level you got involved at too, because you got involved near a lower high. So I want to shout you out for that. That is a great trade for you. Shout out to Chill Vibes. I'm sure you are just chilling like a villain over there in your SPY position. Great shout out there. Market makers killing it in Crowd, says Ricky Peters. Yeah, Crowd has just been... Everybody's crowding into Crowd, but we did give up 32, so I'm watching for a retest. If not, I'm taking this CrowdStrike position because, sure, you can get like chopped up on names, you can be discouraged, but if you see something you like, you have to go for it with a viciousness. That's what I've learned. Win or lose, you do miss 100% of the trades you don't take. So let's watch out here for CrowdStrike, see if I can strike where the iron's hot. Oh, wow. Also, Amazon, I know I tried to use a long a couple times, but if you're a short, I'll try to use a short, qualmless. But I think, yeah, CrowdStrike trying to bounce off 232s. I guess we could probably do that lesson soon again here, because can't believe it's already 1 p.m.
Yeah.
What are you looking at?
I just got stopped at a Crowd, so I was trying to get that 231. I tried to add on the 232.20 exponential. I think you were absolutely right on that. I stood in front of a freight train there because it was absolutely rocketing to the upside. So keeping an eye on CrowdStrike here, but I can't stop looking at Boeing. Boeing is just flying to the high side, 196.36 high a day, and it's at that high day right now. Printing 29, so a few pennies off the high a day. So this one's continuing to go, man, and it's giving you multiple opportunities off the 10 exponential. Boeing up 5% now on the day. What a recovery there. It was actually negative on the day. 187 is the break-even point on BA. And right now, it's well above that. 187, it's about to go 197, so almost $10 above its break-even point right now is Boeing. So great recovery for that name. So we'll have to keep an eye on Boeing. The next level on crowd to me is this 233, and there's a couple of levels there, a couple of technical areas to talk about there. Number one, VWAP is at 233.55. And then we have the closing print from CrowdStrike yesterday and this consolidation area bottom at 233.70, 60, whatever, in and around that area. These are $200 stocks, so they're going to be zones. So I'll be looking there. I'm not going to jump in super quick because I already went negative on CrowdStrike now after having a really good trade on it earlier as a result of this big move up off the bottom, 228. Now it's almost at 232.5. So great recovery for CrowdStrike on the day. But yeah, I saw somebody in the chat there saying market makers are printing up a storm off CrowdStrike. Hopefully we can change that a little bit. We'll look to get even possibly here at that 230. I said 3.5. Yeah, 233.5. So I want to see exactly what it does in and around there. I actually had a long off 234 earlier, so we'll have to see if that ends up featuring today as well, because that 234 level was also important until about 12 o'clock when it gave way. So CrowdStrike at the 20 exponential right now. It's not really clearing it with any distance. It's at it. So we're going to keep watching right now to see if it works its way back up into the volume weighted average price and the closing print from yesterday around 233 2/3, or whether or not it rejects a 20-period average and then makes another move back down. We're going to see here what crowd does. Let's look at Boeing again. Boeing is just going, guys. I mean, there's nothing to say other than Boeing just keeps printing higher and higher and higher. 196.75. It's almost at 197. Chill vibes. Can you say trading on the 50-minute is easier than trading on the 1 minute? You know what? That is actually a great question. I think the 1 minute has its uses, and so does the 15. I know Obi absolutely loves the 15. I usually use the 5 or the 10 on my side charts, and then for the actual trading screen, it'll be the 1 minute. So yeah, I think each one has their uses. Jonathan R, 199 super chat. Thank you very much, my friend. Intel looking to finally get in on the chip move. Where's Neil when you need him? All right, let's have a look at INTC, now up 2%, up to that $30.75 area. I feel like this $30 area on Intel has been an area for a long time. I know it got up into that $35 area a while ago, but then it rejected. Yeah, there you go. There's that move up into 35 with that topping till into 37, and then right back down we go into 30 again. All right, let's have a look at the intraday. I just want to keep my eye here on CrowdStrike to see what it's doing on the side chart. Yeah, so definitely a bit of a top there, Jonathan, to be honest with you, at that 30.80. Look how many times we've rejected this 30.80 area on the day. We started the rejections right after the bell there around 9:50, but I do see what you're talking about, these higher lows. So it looks like it's an ascending wedge looking to flat top break through 30.80. If you get in on that, let me know, my man, because I think that is one hell of a move there. All right, crowd coming back down. Here we go into that 231, but there's buying again on crowd. So a bit of a topping tail candle now. Let me move down to see exactly what crowd is doing because it doesn't update from the side chart for a reason here. I'm going to pack my patience and wait for a new 5-minute candle to make a new low, and it has to close red. I'm not going to try to guess the area because I went negative on crowd as a result of this trade over here, so I don't want to get more negatory on it. So let's watch to see what CRWD does around these areas there.
Yeah, I'm just going to get out of AMZN so we can get started with the lesson. My read on Amazon has been kind of negligible, and I want to say one thing, too, that I've noticed with Amazon is all of these trades had the opportunity to be profitable. Every single one of these, I know I'm red on all of them except for half this one, but it's interesting because all of these trades did have there were opportunities here. You could have made 15 pennies on that trade, 20 pennies on that long. Sure, a little bit less of 5 pennies in this last one, but what I'm trying to say here is I think this is proving that my mind is in scalp mode, but I'm not trading as a scalper, and that's the issue. Because if all of these trades are red and they all have the opportunity for profitability, there's something I'm seeing, but I need to trade it more appropriately. So there will be some aggressive journaling to be had on AMZN. That is for darn sure. The levels were, mostly pretty interesting. I just wasn't playing them appropriately. So that's a little frustrating. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys, but I think that's one thing I've learned is hey, if you're viewing it as a scalper, trade it as a scalp. Starbucks, still in this trade. Like I said, this fat finger was a bit unfortunate. Took out more than I wanted to. Basically flat on this, so good times there. I like what I'm seeing though here in SBUX, and I'm not going to add anything right now. I want to wait till I get that really nice fill here just below that 79 area. I'm going to let this ride here as we do the lesson of the day. It is about 5 pennies against me. We're still well within the range, so I'm going to let this chill. If I need to get out, that will occur. But yeah, so let's take a look here at the measuring gaps. So because measuring gaps are key for understanding price action. So today we're going to focus on this fundamental aspect of technical analysis, because understanding the size and significance of gaps can indeed provide valuable insights into market dynamics. So let's talk about why do you measure gaps? Because if you measure the gap, it can help you compare gap sizes. If there is a relatively large or small gap compared to historical gaps, that can be a sign this is larger move, smaller move. Whatever it is, you want to be aware so that you can trade it accordingly. But what about these potential price movements? How can they be predicted potentially here by the measuring gaps? That's worth noting here as well, right? Because the size of the gap can give clues about the potential magnitude of the subsequent price move. You also want to talk about identifying significant gaps, because large gaps can often indicate significant market events or even shifts in sentiment. How do we measure the gaps, though? Because there's no standardized method, but there are some common approaches. There's a simple price difference can be worth noting, right? So you want to maybe calculate, for example, the difference between the closing price of the previous period and the opening price of the current period. That's actually going to be the most straightforward method for gap measurement. Percentage change is another thing to keep an eye on too. For example, you might want to calculate the percentage difference between the closing price of the previous period and the opening price of the current period, which can help you compare gaps across different price levels. Average true range is also something worth noting here. You might want to divide the gap size, for example, here, by the ATR, the average true range, to determine how many ATRs the gap would represent. And this method can give you a standardized measure of gap size relative to market volatility, which is fun as well. But how do you use gap measurement once you've done your gap measurement? So you can use gap measurement to identify potential support and resistance levels, because gaps can create new support or resistance levels. You can also use them to identify potential price targets or estimate potential price targets, because some traders will use gap measurements to estimate potential price targets for continuation or reversal patterns. Comparing gaps is also something you can do with this, because by comparing the size of a current gap to historical gaps, you can assess its relative significance. Like, let's say it's much more significant or less significant. You'll know if you're doing that measurement. It can also help you ID potential support and resistance levels, because gaps can create new and help you find new support and resistance levels. So how do you identify these levels? Look for a gap fill attempt. So if you've got the price retracing to fill a portion of the gap, the area where the price stalls, that could become a new support or resistance level for you. Gap size is worth noting as well, because larger gaps are more likely to create significant support or resistance levels, and also volume confirmation. Increased volume during the gap fill can strengthen that potential support or resistance level. So if you've got volume, always going to be a good confirmatory. It's always going to be a good thing for you to have too, because it shows lots of people were looking at it. But you also might want to estimate potential price targets, and you can do that through gap comparison as well, or gap measurement. So it's not foolproof, but you can use these, for example, with the measure and move. So for breakaway gaps, some traders might use the gap size as a measure of the potential price move. Check out our past lesson on measured moves as well here on YouTube, TraderTV.live. You can get a good look at that. What about Fibonacci extensions? So you might want to apply fib extensions. Shout out to the fib heads. We don't tell lies, but we look at fibs. And they can help you identify potential price targets as well. Trend-based targets are also something to keep an eye on here, because you can combine gap measurements with trend lines or moving averages to set realistic price targets. We love trend-based targets. We love looking at those technical analysis indicators. So good times there indeed. But what about comparing gaps? Now that you've measured your gaps, we've talked about how you can compare them. What does that mean? Hello, both of us. I like that. Gap size comparison is huge. So you might want to, for example, compare the current gap to historical gaps to see if it's unusually large or small. Contextually, what is that saying, right? What have we seen in the past when we have gaps of this size? Market conditions are key as well, so you might want to consider market volatility and overall market sentiment when you're comparing the gaps. Gap fill speed can be huge too, so the speed at which a gap is filled can indicate its significance. Gaps that fill rapidly are often less impactful. You want a gap that is meaningful, that has volume, that lasts, and if you have that gap compared to a little baby gap, maybe that price level of the little baby gap isn't going to matter, but you're going to look at that first gap. So that's something you can look at here.
You're kidding me.
But, in conclusion, measuring gaps is a fundamental skill for all technical analysis and for traders to use. And you might want to understand how to interpret and calculate gap sizes in order to gain valuable insight into market dynamics, and even maybe combine gap measurement with other technical analysis tools like support and resistance levels, trend lines, and oscillators to help strengthen your strategy. Also, I'm 10 cents in the money here in SPUX. I appreciate that. Someone was asking me why short Starbucks. To me, Starbucks was at a range. It was making lower highs, lower lows. That's why I liked it. Did fat finger out part of this position too early, but I'm ready to get that next piece out if we do get to 78.95 here. Should have added at 20s, but we had the lesson going on, so I wanted to wait. AMD also came into that 145 level while I was in the lesson, so if there's a dip buy opportunity for that, I want all of that smoke. Oh, Starbucks coming into resistance on the daily chart too. Woo. Yes, Starbucks, confluence. I didn't even, honestly should have checked that before I even got in this trade, but seeing this now does give me some more confluence. What I was gonna pull up though was the 3-minute, because I saw this range in the 3-minute and was salivating. That was part of the impetus for this trade. Humana, I mentioned Humana a little bit earlier as having that big, beautiful range. It did have that big, beautiful range, but then that big, beautiful range chilled out a little bit. Now Humana, which I highly doubt will trade because 80 penny spread, big yikes. We do have a bit of a bounce here off the 90 MA. Have my eyes on it, but the volume is a little bit less significant. I'm going to keep my eye on CrowdStrike. I want to shout out Sharif in that 233 level. I also like 235s here. And also AMD, if there's a dip buy opportunity, I might dip into AMD. Starbucks, keep stirring that little coffee there.
Early. All right, we're in the dead one at the moment. I almost got into Cassava Sciences. I was super close. It's just so spready. Sorry. It wouldn't let me in. I really tried. It was a beautiful retracement into the 20 at the $0.50, shot right back up into 75. There's 3 bottoming tail candles now on Cassava Sciences. This is awfully bullish when you see this. Now, if we get a big candle up, this is going to be really nice because these candles indicate buying pressure, even though we're making a down move. So I'm going to pack my patience, but I really like the look of Cassava Sciences at these levels. We'll have to see what we get. Go, dead one. Let's go, dead one. Let's print on this, please. There we go. It's dead.
How it finna go? Because she said it also with the most dead.
I'm not even listening to Reb. I'm listening to the conversation on my right over here. I just yelled, and then everyone got scared, and Sean had to explain to people what I'm yelling about because nobody knows what the dead one is, right? Like Sean's like, oh, he's trading Apple. He's in the dead one. So we're nice 20 pennies in the money right now on AAPL. Let's see if we can get a little bit higher. Can you get
higher? So
say that again.
High.
ARM is breaking out. I could have told you that, Katina, man, because AVGO is like $2 higher than where I got in, despite the fact I'm negatore on the day. I think I really had a good idea on this one, but very, very poor execution. There it goes, AVGO, printing at the high of the day there. Can I say about that other than that I paper-handed the trade? There's really nothing else to talk about. So we're going to watch to see if Apple can work its way into 223. I've been waiting for that level to come in all day because we talked about that. My dad's phone number and stuff like that. So looking for that move. Let's see exactly what we have here shareage-wise on Apple. All right, I'm going to wait in the 95s. Let's go over here. If we can get some mid-90s, that would just be fantastic. The stop stays in the same place. Now we're printing 87s or so. Here comes 89s. Let's see if we can weasel up a little bit there. A bit more than we're printing right now, printing double 8s, but that ain't good enough, baby. We need a bit more. So we're gonna pack our patience. Hans Beer, maybe Google is no in the state of, I don't know what that means. Okay. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that, Hans. Maybe you're talking to somebody else. Let me know what's up. What else we got? NVIDIA pumping back up, looking to take 116 again. We saw it have trouble with 116 earlier today, and here it is again, 115.86 NVDA, guys. Nice little retracement there, it looks like, into, what did it hold there? Generally 115. I think it broke 115 a few times, but generally held that level and now curling right back up into said high. So we'll pack our patience. Now showing 93s on the dead one. I'm waiting a little bit higher. If we can get a little bit higher, I'll be pleased as punch. Bang. All right, happy with this trade. Let's see if we can get a little bit more. There's some size here at 223, about 100, no, there's about 300 lots there. It went away. So we'll have to wait till it comes right back up. But there is some size at 223 on AAPL. It's not like the high a day or anything. And don't forget, guys, we're still putting successively lower highs on Apple. So even though this is good, it's up 1.9, yada, 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 crest, and no, this is not a crest yet because we haven't started moving down, but this is still a lower high. The high that I'm keeping my eye on, 223 and a quarter, 223 and a third, and then around that area to see if we can break through. We'll have to break through the whole dollar first. AAPL, nice little recovery, but there's all sorts of strength now in some of these other names. Let's look at them quickly. I hate you, Cassava Sciences. I really do hate you because this was a really good entry. These bottoming tails, go Cassava Sciences, go. Here comes 21 again. We know the high of the day is 21.13. Beautiful bottoming tail candles into a key area of technical support on a trending name. Now, you often hear me talk about the 10 and the 20, but I really want to just kind of preface what my references to them. When I talk about the 10 and the 20, I'm almost never going to use them if a stock is consolidating. There almost always has to be a trend for the 10 and the 20 to feature on my analysis. And the reason is, it's just that simple. John J. Murphy, Principles of Technical Analysis of the Financial Markets, basically made it very clear in the first chapter of Moving Averages. They are very bamboozling during consolidative markets. I don't want to say that they're useless, but they're very bamboozling. As a result, you should look for trending markets. Now, whether you're trading on the daily and you're looking for a daily trend or you're trading intraday, it's fractal, and moving averages seem to do a lot better during areas of trend, not areas of consolidation. So that is the look there. I'm still waiting. I've got one more out here on the dead one. It's rejecting 223 at the moment. I'm not surprised there, but we'll pack our patience, Adara. Maybe we can get something in that quarter of a dollar or that third of a dollar, the last little area of crest that we had.
Yeah, this AMD is a bit frustrating here. I want to talk about it. So I was obsessed with 144.80. That was the level I was using as my out for these shorts here earlier. Then look at that resistance we get at 144.80. Then we come back up here, and I watched on the side chart while we were doing the lesson. I had one eye on the lesson, and I had one eye on AMD 144.80. We had a bounce. We had a gorgeous bounce. I come back. We watch. We bounce again. We get up. I wanted to take profit here. Half the position here at one. What was this? Okay, I need to get out of this. And then I can wax poetic about it after. Oh my gosh, why will you? AMD, let me leave. AMD, come on. Thank you, sir. But yeah, basically, I wanted to see what we did there. Words.
145, we're done there.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I wanted to let the viewers know, too, that
too.
The big kahunas are going to come on a little early because we got FOMC.
Funk.
The biggest kahuna. Oh, okay, Ram. That's interesting there. All right. Sorry to interrupt you, Adara. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Do you want me to take over for a little bit? What?
We have Faluna and the Fed on today.
We got Faluna from Benzinga on. Double Fs. We got the Fed and Faluna. If today is not one of those days where you say, hey, you know, my life is great. Well, then what? No, I'm kidding. I'm really exaggerating here, Adara. But I think you, do you want to take a walk? I can take over for a little bit.
Yeah, I'm just gonna get some water. Thank you.
No problem. All right, let's have a look here at some of these names. I promised Rivian Millionaire and Broad Street Wolf that I would look at the NQ September contract. And here it is. A big move up today, as we know, in the NQ. I just want to look at this for everybody else. I know Broad Street and Rivian already know about this. But guys, we almost touched 18.7 yesterday, and now we got to 19.5. That is insane movage. We're talking about 800 points within 24 hours on the dang exchange. This is fantastic. Look, hopefully we close somewhere near or above 19.5. Broad Street Wolf. We did hold this area on the 50. It wasn't one that I was gauging. I got to tell you the truth. I feel the NQ is quite consolidative, essentially, since this candle here at 1040. We've been zigging and zagging a little bit. Yeah, we took 19.5 at around 11:30, but it's been not discernible for me, undiscernible. At these levels. So I got to tell you the truth. I mean, I need to see something here. We either break this key area of technical support, this double bottom that we put in at 19.410, or let's claim 19.5, or get into 19.5 and reject it. But this no man's land area that we are in the future, I guess it's normal. To be expected. FOMC coming, the market pricing in, a Fed rate cut, all but certain is what I'm reading. maybe Papa throws us a curveball, right? I have no idea. We got NFPs on Friday, right?
We do have NFP on Friday.
Non-farm payroll on Friday, so the Fed may want to, hold on. Well, they're definitely not cutting this. They're not cutting this meeting, obviously, but maybe the NFP throws off their analysis, so they come to some sort of consensus now. NFP comes out on Friday. It's overly strong. Who knows? There's umpteen amount of data points that can come between now and that September meeting that can completely change things. So the market can price in a certain cut now in September, but that doesn't have to be the case. So we're going to pack our patience and see what we get there. Here it is, Ram. I think we're breaking Microsoft VWAP for the first time since about 11:45. So almost an hour and a half now here on the soft one, looking to take 417.5. We know for pretty certain that we definitely had this area consolidation, 418.5, 418 if you're using the closing print. I want to see what we do when we get around there. Softy's been awfully consolidative on the day for a $400 name. It's barely moved. I mean, I know it's moved dollars, but relatively speaking, it's been very consolidative, especially as you can compare it, I'll get it right, to yesterday's price action. Look at that huadunk right at that 4 o'clock move. That was the earnings, and then we double bottomed there, and then boom came the dynamite. I'm willing to bet you that was probably the call over here. Do you know what time the Softy call was yesterday?
I believe it was at 5.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. So, yeah, that's the look there. I think that we got bought up on that news. They're still down 1.5% on the soft one. Still in the Apple trade, still looking for a 223 break or take. But, we may not get that as a result of FOMC. What is everybody else looking at? Delta Games looking at NNDM. Let's have a look at that for Delta Games. It's one that I remember. Being a small capper, I'm pretty sure. NNDM. There we go. Nano Dimensions. All right. Well, this isn't doing a whole lot today, my man. Delta Games, it's up 0.2. What do you mean it's rocketing up? Are you trolling me here? All right, Delta Games. You've been blacklisted. No, I'm kidding. You're not blacklisted. You're good. You're good. Just don't put in tickers that aren't moving. Let's have a look quickly here at some of the other names that we were looking at. AMD is one big monster bleed fest. This thing will not stop going down. 143.36. We have a new low of day on AMD, and now we are down more on AMD since the bell than we are up from yesterday's closing print.
Wow.
We're down, Adara, 4 3/4 since the bell rung at 9:30. We're only up 3 3/4 from the print yesterday. So, wow, yeah, that is a bit of a retracement. The closing print on AMD yesterday, 138.5. We just got down to 143 1/3, obviously still well above that, but that is one hell of a retracement. We did this earlier, and I'm going to do it again. Let's draw the fibs from the closing print from yesterday into the high this morning at 153.50. I know it's 60, but we're going to call it 50 for the sake of simplicity over here. There it is. And so now we are breaking down below the 38.2. We are almost we are lower than 2/3 of the retracement. We broke 50. We broke the 2/3. Now we're just looking at 76.4%. So fibs coming in here showing you exactly how much of the move we're giving back. Not a good look. Chill Vibe saying AMD is done. And then West, y'all went, AM, damn you. I wish I AM didn't, but I AM did. That is right down your alley there.
Oh my gosh, it is. That is my alley. Hi, you're on my street. No, I'm joking. That's pretty funny though.
All right. Anything you want to cover?
Yeah, sure. So thank you for taking it for a second.
Of course.
So basically, I actually will quickly get back to AM because I know we were talking about that, but I had a long on this. This, like I said, this is what got me with Amazon. Every single one of the Amazon trades I had today would have been profitable had I scalped. None of them were. Well, I got profit on half of one. So 3.5 out of 4 trades winner. Woo, no, I'm joking, right? But the point I'm trying to make is I see things more as a scalper. I'm aware of that, and I need to be trading more appropriately. And that brings me to my AMD. I'm obsessed with that 140, 480 level. It hit. If I had just gotten out when we got that wick into 145 when I saw we couldn't hold 145, would have taken 25 pennies, decent share size, please just punch. But then I waited, I was like, oh, you said you wanted to see this? No. Adara, you're a scalper unless it is a earnings related play, unless there's something distinctly different about the type of trade, you have to scalp. So there we go. With that being said, I know I haven't really been scalping Starbucks. That's been a different type of trade. I am basically flat on this. I'm chilling in this trade. I have gotten exactly none of my price targets yet. This one fill was a fat finger, so this is definitely not the trade of anyone's lifetime. But I want to talk about Tesla because I'm really proud of what I did with this.
Get it?
So I was saying, hey, market falls. What if Tesla gets to that level I like, the 231.30s?
Turning.
We get to 30s, we try to bounce. It's like, okay, Tesla, I see you. And to be clear, today was not my best day. I had a good day the last few days. Today was not great. I usually look at my P&L. I had to be like, how much risk do I have left? Because I want to pour it into Tesla. I said, Dara, ride or die, go hard or go home. If you like Tesla, you take Tesla here. I took Tesla short here, 231.22s, I believe. Got out half the position at 231. Waited to see what we did below there. We couldn't get a decisive breakdown. I said, Dara, take the rest at around 95s. Happy with this trade. If we come back and we retest and we reject 231 again, better believe, Tesla, you're getting back down to the downside. Start charging that Cybertruck all the way up to go all the way down. I can't believe only 15 minutes left. This is crazy. Who wants to bet that Starbucks will not fill me in those remaining 15 minutes? No, I'm joking. Yeah, that's been a little bit of a frustrating trade. But I think this is a huge lesson for me today. What I like to do is you want to learn something from every single trade you take, every single session. At least that's how I approach trading. Today I learned, Adara, why are you not scalping? So there we go. And even CrowdStrike, which I am red on because I had one trade that was profitable and one that was not. But even the one that was profitable here, as you can see, this was scalp city. I was scalping in, out, up, and down all around this. So it's like, learn the commonality in a lot of the trades I find that are more successful is they're in and out, they're in clear levels, and they're scalpy. I need to learn from that. This Amazon is, I think why I was so frustrated about Amazon is the levels are right. The ideas were not bad, but I was viewing them as a scalper, and the market wasn't giving me that. So I'm going to stop monologuing. You got to learn here. Shout out to Chill Vibes. Let's go SPY, paying me now from 550.77. Bang, taking profits at VWAP. Pay me. So I cannot pay you, unfortunately, Chill Vibes, but SPY, I know, is paying you right now. You are, oh my gosh, SPY's getting to a whole dollar level. I like to say.
Tanking.
Yeah, I'm going to take this whole dollar SPY short because, like I said, I love whole dollar level shorts here on the S&P 500. It will not give me probably have the buying power for this, but we're going to take a smaller position here if I'm able to get, yeah, there we go. Okay, so slightly smaller position here in the SPY. If we get back to 98s, we're getting filled. I might have, oh, it's too bad I wasn't able to get filled right away on that because darn, I would have been in the money, but you were more than $1 in the money here. Chill Vibes. I would love to be able to join this SPY trade. That's a little bit frustrating. Had I been able to get filled right away, it would have been good, but woulda, coulda, shoulda. I want to see what we do here at VWAP. I like what we're doing around 70s. I know I mostly like the whole level, a whole dollar level, but if 70s gives me something, I'm interested in looking at the 70s level as well. The market falls, and once again, Starbucks kind of does nothing, so that's been a fun time. Wow, SPY continuing to fall. Very upset I didn't get filled here, but hey, SPY, you want to come to 549? Come my way. Go even lower. I will get back involved. You got to stick with your strategy, stick with your plan, even when you accidentally do not get filled because you accidentally try to get more shares than you're allowed to take. Good times. Love markets. Love life. Trying to learn all the time. Why am I so long biased? Grr, says West, y'all. As much as a bit short biased as well, I do feel that. I think one thing, too, that's helped me, and I've talked about tired bias, which is like my 1 p.m. trading rule. I think one thing is recognizing why are you like why is this thing you're noticing? Is it impacting your trading quality? Is it impacting your fills? And then kind of have a plan around it. That's what helped me with my tired bias anyway. So that's my little piece of advice on bias. But right now, I'm a little biased against myself for not getting the SPY short. I do want to shout out Chill Vibes, and hopefully I'll be having some Chill Vibes because if SPY gets to 549, see you to the downside.
Big Spile says 541.38 or lower by close.
Ooh.
Big Spile's called
Wow.
it. Shout out to Big Spile. He just texted me that right now. Thank you for that, Big Spile. I see it. I didn't open the message, but I saw it on the watch. We're at VWAP on the NQ. Here we are. We below 19.4. We give up that 100-point level like it doesn't even matter. But we're zigging and zagging right now at the volume-weighted average price around 19,375, and we're getting a bit of a bounce now. It's kind of anemic. It's not propelling up or anything like that, but it is holding up at this level. You're looking at the TQQQs on my screen. Here's what I'm looking at because you're seeing the side of my face, and that's because I'm looking at this. This is the white line is the volume-weighted average price. We breached it by like a few points. Up we go again into the 90s, still below 19.4. That was a whole bunch of selling, I'm assuming, to de-risk prior to FOMC. We're going to get that result in about half an hour. Widely expected to be the same thing, 5.25 to 5.5. Not going to be changed. That overnight print comes a little differently every day. If you don't know about that, Google it. But here is a look right now, right back into VWAP again. So I don't think the selling is done yet because we weren't even able to take 19.4 there on that retracement. All sorts of selling. Apple absolutely tanking, giving up 222 like it doesn't even matter. We're now down into 221 and 2/3. Excuse me there. Yeah, hit that, Katina, man, because we are printing negative right now on literally everything. Looking to see where we find possible areas of support, but maybe it's just one of those ones where you want to ride the wave right back down because there's all sorts of negative selling right now. We're still above, for whatever reason, the volume weighted average price on the NQ. Nvidia faring a bit better, trying to hold that 115, but you're seeing Tesla tank, you're seeing Apple tank. Goggles is now negative on the day. Oh my God, we were up 2 2/3 on the NQ, and now Goggles is negative, giving up that 170.31. It wants to break 170, it looks like. That is a low of day, 170.01 exactly. Meta, big move off that top. $6 drop there on Meta off that 476 HOD. Now we're at 470, but barely. Well below VWAP, well below the 50x exponential. All sorts of selling. For whatever reason, though, the future still holding up above that volume-weighted average price. I guess keeping things even from falling a little bit more. Let's look at some of the other names we're looking at. You wouldn't know it that the market was turning down if you looked at Cassava Sciences, because this thing is still headed to the upside, is doing the dance with no underwear or pants at 21, and it wants to take that 21.13. That's been the high of day, essentially, since we popped up there at 10 to 1. We'll have to see if this one breaches it. If I had a guess, and that's all that it is, a guess, we do breach it, because this thing has been the epitome of higher highs and higher lows on the day. Let's see what else is moving over here. AVGO, big boy drop off that 529 and a quarter, but crowd is the one that's going to give me nightmares tonight, Adara, because I really wanted this short. I had the right idea, poor execution. It wasn't a 20 exponential retracement. It was a VWAP and or a closing print. Should have waited for that, knowing that there was an SSR on this name and knowing that there was probably going to be a big boy bump. But hey, that's the way it is. Let's keep an eye now on the TQQQs. I'm looking here for a possible VWAP bounce off the TQQQs, and we are getting it a little bit over here. Anemic or not, let's see if we get a nice bounce. We're still below 19.4. Do we break 19.4, or is it going to be a 19.4 touch and then a 19.375 break? It looks like it's going to be that now as we dip back into the mid-80s. So much buying and selling to be expected, I guess, ahead of FOMC.
Yeah, FOMC time. Yeah, instead of power hour, it's going to be Powell hour.
Ooh,
Powell hour. I don't know.
I like that.
Hoot, hoot. But yeah, so the SPY, I tried to take a short here on the SPY. I'm disappointed in myself because I said I wanted, like, you guys saw I punched for that 550 breakdown, and then it was like, oh, well, you can't have this many shares. And I was like, so while I canceled that order and tried to refill, I missed my opportunity. A little bit disappointing. I saw us bounce a couple times at 549s. Then we kind of had a bit of a breakdown at the 20s. I tried to short 20s, lost 30 pennies on that trade. Again, super small position, but still disappointing. Neil said something yesterday. It's like you shouldn't, just because a position smaller doesn't mean you need to hold it against you. I agree. But Tesla, you're coming into 230. I like whole dollar levels on stocks, especially Tesla. And Tesla book here, as we kind of were curling to break further down below 230. I don't mind this at all. I don't want to rush into this, but this is tasty. Okay, take small position here, 230s. If we continue to see a breakdown, I think we're trying to bounce. I don't like these bottoming tail candles. They kind of look similar to the SPY, which I did just get a skosh chopped and turned in. Tesla 230, let's go. So we're going to see here if I get filled. I don't think I'll get filled. I think it was probably a little bit too late to it. I wanted to make sure I was confident, comfortable, all that good stuff there with the SPY. And also, you'd be thinking, wow, the market dropped. I bet Adara Starbucks short is finally moving. It's not. It's not. It's really not, guys. This is literally, there is no coffee. There's no caffeine in the Starbucks trade. This thing is the range to end all ranges. Not even like a fun way where up and down. No, it's just, it just exists and is bad and not fun. I think I'm going to have to get out of this Starbucks here just because I don't have much risk left, and this has just not been giving you anything. I played this wrong. I really should have been trading this range a lot tighter than I did. But when I first got involved with these lower lows, whatever, not the point. Definitely, again, lots of aggressive journaling today. Fiddleback, thank you so much for the $20 super chat. Woo! Always enjoy the show. Keep it up, guys. I thank you so much. And we love that you guys keep it up here by being involved in the chat. We really appreciate the opportunity to be here every single day. And today, not my best trading day, but man, will that motivate me for tomorrow. put me against the wall market,
bet.
I will come back and I will fight you harder. I'm also astoundingly still up on the week, I think. So that's nice. But I don't want to say that too early because today was rough, but tomorrow's a new day. New dawn, new day. Feeling good.
Love the attitude of Darren, no
you.
question.
How are your
Fiddleback.
cues?
Well, we'll find out. We're about 8 pennies out of the money at the moment. It's going to have to hold VWAP. This is a VWAP trade, Adara. If it breaks VWAP, that's the end of the story. Fiddleback, baby. $20. Always thank you very much. Shout out to Fiddleback. I just want to shout you out myself because that is very kind of you to gift Adara and I with that. But that goes to the entire show. I just want you to realize that. We don't often talk about that, but that doesn't go in our pocket. That goes to the entire show. And then, we do stuff around here with that. So shout out to you guys. Yoel Reyna, shout out to you as well. Sebastian 4XAU, Callum Mitchell Miller, shout out to all you guys. Appreciate you guys for joining Adara and I today. We will be off the air a little bit early today. We're going to send it over to the Big Kahunas, who are going to take over, talk about the FOMC, widely expected again to be a hold on the interest rate cut. But we're going to be all ears during that news conference, and we want to see anything that he removed or they removed from the FOMC statement. Brendo usually has a comparator between the current one and the previous one to see what words were added, what words were removed, kind of give us insight into the Fed's thinking. We also want to see whether the decision was unanimous. We're going to get multiple different, Feds going to the media in the coming days as the blackout periods ends. We're going to get to hear exactly how they think individually about the market. And then obviously we're going to get their collective decision today. So it's always a big day, even though widely expected again to be no cut, but there's lots that comes from this. So we'll have to wait and see what comes from today, Adair. But right now I'm still hanging out in this futures trade. We're still holding above VWAP, Ram, but there's really not much to me to talk about. I'm 1 or 2 pennies out of the money. I'm being bored to death. And quite frankly, I think this is a dead cat bounce because we would have taken 19.4 by now, and we haven't taken 19.4 by now. I want to get out, but I'm just too dang stubborn. I've put my stop, and I want my stop to trigger because I don't want to miss out on a possible trade. But to be quite honest with you, I don't like the way this looks right now. And that's to be expected. We're at FOMC, and the market wants to hold its breath until it sees what direction we get. We're popping a little bit here, so if I can get whatever pennies I can on this rather than getting stopped out, I'll take it. So we'll look to maybe wet our beak at 30s or something like that. Not much to write about there, so we get the fill, so we de-risk. Let's see if it runs up. I mean, if it runs up, I'll take it. But it's a anemic move because we're below 19.4. So great VWAP hold, but anemic because it can't take that key 100-point level. What are you doing, Microsoft? Oh my God, Microsoft has awoken. Microsoft is above VWAP while some of the stronger names are not. So you saw Amazon very strong, Apple quite strong as well, so is Meta. And we know obviously NVIDIA is very strong. But Microsoft is down 1 1/4 on the day. It's above VWAP, so it's trying to reclaim that level. But I would tell you guys that 418.50 has been like a dang wall for Microsoft on the day. So, if we get up there, keep your eye on the book and the tape because we could definitely see some sign. Oh my God, look at that wall of selling that we just got there, Dara. Wow, what is happening? All right, let's see if we can short this market. The market's coming down.
Oh my gosh, it is.
Let's see if we get a bit more. We dropped through 67. I'm trying to pack my patience on it. Go down. All right, we'll take that one out of there. What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm waiting for my whole dollar break here on the SPY, which I'm going to get this time.
Bang.
I got out of Starbucks. I sang Starbucks, could you do something for me? And Starbucks did nothing. Not a great position, not the triumph of anybody's life. And again, I have very little risk left here, but I mean, if you see something you like, I think that's when you have to owe it to yourself to take these trades. Okay, SPY, let me in, SPY. Oh my gosh, SPY, you're not gonna let me in? Wow, okay. Sorry, I'm talking really fast here, but man, these markets are heating the heck up. I want to get involved here. Let's see if we can get low here on the SPY. Okay, I am pleased as punch. This is why sometimes you got to be able to take those risks here when they matter.
Minutes tanking.
Wow, this is pretty nice. I'm going to take out some of these profits here. I want to secure some of that bag. Let's go. Okay, SPY. Well, I didn't actually get filled, so that's kind of awkward. I collapsed. But let's see where we go here. We're having some weird resistance here at 70s on the SPY, 548 70s. I would like to see us break below that a little bit lower. Happy with my entry point here, 98s. Could be better. Of course, it could always be better. Wow, SPY, are you really going to come back? Okay, so that was really frustrating. I would like to see us get back below here and see what we do. I was not able to get filled in any of that, so that's a fun time. We're going to get an order here set for 75s to come back here. but I have a feeling this is probably going to go against me and I will not be able to stay in it because, like I said, I had to risk, this is kind of an all or nothing type trade. Sometimes you believe in stuff, you have to go kind of ride or die, and I did go, in fact, ride or die, and I think I may die, but good times here on the SPY. I rhymed way too many times. I want to see us get back below this 549s here, because if we do, I think that could be a decent trade. This I did not execute appropriately. This kind of continues my theme of the day that I said I've noticed, where it's like, Adara, you're a scalper, be scalpy, what are you doing? I had to get out of this. This is just got shut down here a little bit, unfortunately. Okay. But you know what? Tomorrow's a new day.
Exactly.
It's a new day, and I'm feeling good, and I'm feeling scalpy.
Good.
And I'm happy I tried that trade because I learned something from it, and again, should have scalped. So there we go.
All good, all good. We always, we move on. All right, day trader cut. I want to put this out there. Day trader cut, thank you for the information. I don't see it on my blotter. I loaded up Micron, but day trader cut reporting. The U.S. weighs new restrictions on China's access to AI memory chips. We know Micron obviously involved in that. A lot of other companies involved in that as well. I think that HK Hynix, that what is that? It's called HK Hynix? SK, thank you. They're involved in that as well. They don't obviously trade on North American markets. It's a Korean company, but thank you for that. Yes, he's absolutely right. Here's the headline, Ram. U.S. weighs new restrictions on China's access to AI memory chips, reports Bloomberg. Keep your eye out on the Microns and the other, like I guess, DRAM or whatever memory chip makers, because they could see a bit of a down move here. Not saying it's going to move down, but obviously, that is the kind of news item we need to have our eye on. Super important. I want to mention to you guys, I mentioned it this morning as well, that the embargo on, or sorry, not the embargo, the tariff, the 100% tariff that's supposed to be added to EVs, batteries, solar panels coming out of China has been delayed by 2 weeks to give them an opportunity to reassess that, I'm assuming, because maybe now we have a new possible president from the Democrats side. Obviously, it won't be Joe Biden, so she may want to have her own platform on there. So we'll see exactly what happens there. But keep in mind, that's been delayed by 2 weeks. Not like it's permanently gone or anything, Adara. But now it is a quarter to the hour, and we're going to send you to Brendo, who's at the big boy desk.
Hey guys, yeah, welcome in. We'll get you set here for what's coming up in about 15 minutes from now, which is, let's be honest, going to be absolutely nothing. We'll